Chapter 461, Teacher and Student. After settling everything with Arba and Aston regarding the altar, Kai returned to Rosalind and Sophia together with them. You ready? Kai smiled, asking about their condition. Yes. Sophia smiled and said, well, it's good to be back after 3 months. Rosalind nodded before bowing to the people behind Kai. Thank you for your help for the past 3 months. No problem. Leah smiled and waved her hand. Kai then turned around and nodded his head. I think this is it. We can proceed according to what we've discussed. Yes. Leave it to us. Aston agreed before walking to Sophia and Rosalind. I hope the two can think of nothing about this. Rosalind and Sophia exchanged looks and smiled. Please. Aston then placed his hand on Sophia's before a huge grey-colored magic circle appeared above their heads. Only after 15 minutes, Sophia suddenly fell. Kai caught her gently and checked her condition. After knowing she was safe, he then turned to Aston. Please. Aston understood his intention and moved to Rosalind, placing his hand on top of her head. He repeated the process, and Rosalind finally dropped on her knees. I have done everything I can. Aston gave the confirmation before looking at Devane. He is a space magic user, so he will send you to the closest and safest place to reach your home. Yeah, I'm counting on you, Dev. Kai smiled. Devane only smiled before clapping his hands twice. The barrier finally opened again, allowing them to leave this place. Kai carried Sophia while Leah helped with Rosalind. After waving his hand to Aston and Arba, he left the barrier, returning to the outside world. After checking their condition, Devane then summoned a magic circle beneath their feet as they teleported 2 times to reach Turkey. According to their current location, they would probably reach the nearest base in 30 minutes. Kai lowered Sophia and had her lean to a tree while Leah did the same. He then rose from the ground and extended his hand to Devane. Thank you for helping me for the past 3 months, Dev. I will be waiting for you in the US base next. Yes, my king. It's my pleasure to help you. Devane nodded and shook his hand. Although he was still polite, the two knew that if Devane wanted to call him by his name, Kai wouldn't complain about it. However, Devane had already gotten used to calling him by his title, so Kai also understood his condition. Take care. Kai smiled before turning to Leah. He hugged her like 2 friends and said, Thank you, Leah. Of course, my king. Although you haven't realized it yet, Devane has become a bit more talkative since you first came, you know? Leah chuckled, teasing Devane in the process. What? Devane was taken aback and looked at them with a weird expression, wondering if he did something wrong. Kai only chuckled and took a step back, looking at both of them with a gentle smile. Anyway, take care of yourself until we meet again 3 months from now. Yes. Both replied at the same time before they returned with Devane's space magic before Sophia and Rosalind woke up. After they disappeared, Kai turned around and sat on the ground, waiting for them. In the meantime, he decided to call his master. Ho! The little guy has a big guy now? Was the first thing Rhea said the moment she picked up the call. Haha, I'm glad that you're alright, teacher. Well, I'm on the battlefield right now, mentoring your sister a bit. Really? Kai was surprised because no one mentioned it earlier. Yeah, when I was about to tell you, you had gone far away. Rhea confirmed it. Haha, that's a shame. Well, I just want to let you know that I'm fine here. Kai chuckled. Of course, I am far stronger than you now, teacher. Is this a challenge, kid? Rhea's voice became cold. Should I beat you again? If I can beat you, I'm going to spank your ass this time. Do you dare to bet? Haha, I don't want to bully an old woman, so I will reject this bet. Okay, you're on. We will have a spa as soon as you go back. Kai didn't reply and simply laughed it off. Anyway, I will tell the Brent about your condition. You're going to extend your stay for 3 months, right? Yeah. Although I don't like being treated as a bargaining chip, I am not someone who will break my promise, especially since I've already gotten the payment up front. I see. I will notify the president after this. Do you want to tell him something? Only one. I'm going to meddle around and settle my grudge against the Katsuragi family. No, I will probably settle myself with Katsuragi Takaki and those who stand in my way in, chilling him. Kai suddenly corrected himself. Ho! Rhea seemed to be surprised by his statement and said, You've matured. I thought you were going to destroy the entire Katsuragi family because of the past grudge. I had no doubt that you could destroy them and knew you would feel a bit guilty for all the innocent guys that attacked you out of order. However, the reason I didn't give you any advice or anything was to let you see the result of your own action because you would grow far stronger and kinder. From that point on, it seems I don't need to do that anymore since you've grown up. Kai made a gentle smile and looked to the sky. He felt like he had gotten calmer and thought nothing about revenge. In fact, the grudge between him and the Katsuragi family looked bleak. He once heard a saying, "The best revenge is to show them that your life is getting better after they're gone." When he thought about this, he felt like the reason he wanted revenge was a bit too petty. He just wanted to end everything with Katsuragi Takaki and continued with his life in the US base. This also showed that he had no intention to return to United Asia and chose to stay in the US base for the rest of his life. He closed his eyes and smiled. Yeah, my action will certainly cause a chain of events, to the point it will affect the entire base. And if I destroy the Katsuragi family, the South family will use it to kill even more people. I don't see it wrong about being patriotic, but I just need to pluck out one poisonous mushroom that has gone too far. I will respect your choice, so you don't need to mind the paperwork. I will also settle the problem with Brent. I think he will be overjoyed to hear this news because he doesn't need to get a headache to deal with the aftermath. Ria replied nonchalantly. Haha, sounds right. I'm sorry to make you worry, teacher. Kai smiled and continued. I'm going to keep improving both mentally and physically. Maybe after this incoming war ends, you can go immediately to your retirement. Let me take care of you. I will hold that promise. No, say it again. I'm going to record it. Right? Kai chuckled. Anyway, do you want to say something to the girls? They are missing you. I miss them too. How are they? Tasha is with me right now, so I know her the best. Well, she has gotten all the magic power you've last month, making the whole thing weird. But I know that the magic power will stay within your body if you die, so I can calm her down. To be honest, I feel like she has gotten far stronger and started aiming for my position. That's all I can say about her. Then, we can move to Ayaka. She has become the face of the Lion Group because of her tactics. It turns out the girl has the potential to become a strategist. She was just too childish and immature back when you met her in United Asia. After calming down and growing up for 2 years, she has finally started showing her full potential since you're not there. She is too reliant on you for your information, Tene. As for Michelle, have you heard about 2 people becoming one? She is like that. Well, her prowess itself has gone far beyond both Tasha and Ayaka, so you will be surprised to see her in another 3 months. Anyway, Michelle and Ayaka are staying with your parents to ensure their safety and other things in their schedule. It's not your girl, but I will give you a bit of information about Evan. He has gotten together with Isabel and plans to marry her after graduation. You can see his picture and find a ring on his finger. It's teasing material. As for his strength, he's become a better shooter, but I don't think there's a big improvement in him considering it's his ability limitation. But yeah, his healing power is better now. Kai contemplated for a moment and nodded, satisfied. Just tell Ayaka and Michelle that I miss them and will come back soon. Keep working hard. As for Tasha, I'm offering advice to get Teacher's Ultra Deluxe training package, which includes 1,000 deaths. Just kidding. Anyway, I also miss her and look forward to her improvement. We will be together again after graduation. As for Evan, congratulations and don't forget to invite me to their weddings. Kai chuckled and looked at the sky. So many things have happened. Ha. Yeah, that's why come back soon, kiddo. Haha, I will, teacher. Kai smiled and planned to hang up. Of course, he didn't forget to say, I'm going to end the call, teacher. Just want to say, I love you. Yeah, love you too, you brat. Now your next mission is to make me stop calling you brat. Haha. Chapter 462, Discussion. After finishing his call with Ria Ross, he noticed the different breathing rhythm from both Sophia and Rosalind, knowing they had woken up. Sophia let out a weak moan, as if she just got a good nap before gradually opening her eyes, watching Kai's back. Kai? Rosalind quickly woke up, rose from the ground, and looked around as if she thought she made a blunder, but after confirming the place was safe, she calmed down and let out a breath of relief. You two have finally woken up. Kai smiled and asked, How do you feel? Rosalind and Sophia exchanged looks and nodded. We don't have a problem. Although there is a gap between my memories, I have this memory telling me that I'm going to forget a few things because I followed you to a certain place, and my strength has been strengthened to a certain degree. Kai nodded. Yeah, what your memory told you is right. Unfortunately, I can't say anything to you just yet. Forgive me. No worries, I can somehow understand your stance with the scrambled memories. She made a gentle smile, telling him it was all right. Meanwhile, Rosalind thought of another thing. In her memory, the one thing that Arnaud mentioned about her becoming an S-rank magician flashed in her mind. She just couldn't get over the shock that Kai had done all these favors to her. Thank you, Kai. No need to thank me. No, you've thanked me enough. Kai waved his hand, asking her to stop. Although I want to ask you more about this matter, I guess we need to return to the base first. The two girls agreed without hesitation and nodded their heads. Sure, let's return. The two then went to the nearest base before confirming their identity and their purpose. After getting all their information, they finally flew to the sky with a helicopter and went back to the school. Arnaud and Jules had been notified too by Kai as they quickly arrived in front of the school to see both girls. Grandfather! Sophia hugged Jules. Although she had prepared for the memory loss, she still felt insecure when she faced it herself. Jules also understood it since both he and Arnaud felt weird when there was a gap in their memory. They even took their time to drink together every now and then just to confirm that they were fine. Rosalind, on the other hand, lowered her head to Arnaud. Thank you for everything, sir. Arnaud shook his head and said, No, you've achieved everything by yourself. There is no luck in the process. The fact that you could become someone noticeable for me in both strength and attitude was your effort. The fact that Kai has chosen you over anyone else was also the opportunity that you've attained yourself. No need to thank me. Still, everything would be useless if I didn't have a great mentor like you. She smiled. Arnaud ultimately nodded his head before taking out a document, handing it to her. Take this. Rosalind's heart beat rapidly as she wondered if this document was what she thought it was. She gulped down and took the document carefully, as she didn't want to ruin it. When she opened the document and read it for a few seconds, she was stunned and looked at Arnaud. Arnaud only smiled at her and placed his hand on her shoulders. Congratulations for becoming an S-rank magician. You're now allowed to choose your own mission and create your own family. Even if you want to bring all the kids over, it's your choice. Since you're like me, the union will pay for the expense for a certain amount. Also, you have the right to decline a mission too, as long as there is an appropriate reason. Most of all, you're going to be my second in command for the time being until you know what you want to do and what position you want to achieve. After a bit more training in that aspect to match the jobs, you will truly attain that position. Of course, we need to check your prowess first before giving you a rank in the military. We can schedule it next time or over text, so we will talk about it later. Arnaud ended the conversation by extending his hand with a gentle smile on his face, as if he was watching his own daughter. Still, the most important thing I need to say, congratulations, Rosalind. I'm proud of you. Rosalind leaped and hugged him to express his joy. Thank you. Ha! You're too happy. Arnaud chuckled before turning to Kai. I don't know what happened, but I have informed the union about it. For the time being, they won't take any action, but there is always a hidden threat. I want you to be careful from now on. Well, with your power, you won't need to fear anyone, to be honest, but just in case. Rosalind will continue her job to be your supervisor in this base until you leave the base. Yeah, sure, I don't mind. Kai nodded and smiled at Rosalind. Congrats. Thank you. Kai then asked, is there a big chance with the current plan because of these circumstances? No, everything will go according to the contract, but I guess it's still indirectly implying that it's impossible to direct you. In other words, those people will just tell you to do something, and how do you want to do it? It's your choice. There won't be any reinforcement as well, because you don't need it. No, in fact, they will just become your burden. Ahaha, I won't say it like that. Kai shook his head. Anyway, I will be fine from now on, so no need to worry. Just tell me if something happens. Sure thing. Arnaud nodded. Well, most of the information will go through Rosalind, and since she has become an S-rank magician, she has gained so many information accesses, allowing her to say everything to you. Of course, I hope that you don't pressure her to give you important questions. Haha. I'm not a spy or a double agent, so I won't go to sensitive things. Kai shook his head. By the way, is there any movement from suspicious organizations? Arnaud looked down, pondering. There are several movements, but mostly from small thugs around here. Well, we can easily monitor them, so it's fine. Besides, Rosalind has the privilege to kill them too, if they're aiming for your lives. As for the large organizations, I don't think they've made a move. Maybe, just maybe they will as soon as you leave this base for a mission. That's why I'm going to postpone any activity to 3 days later, after Rosalind and Sophia receive their new ranks. We can have them to be the superior and order you to do something. This way, you won't need to listen to other people and just do what you want to do. To be honest, the fact that Rosalind has gotten stronger is enough for me and the base. But hey, people are greedy. You need to watch out. Well, your ears won't let something like that happen anyway, so. Arnaud shrugged since he didn't care about the fate of those who tried to mess with Kai. The latter had enough strength to destroy this base, so why would he go all the way to offend him just to save a few useless lives who did bad things despite humanity's suffering? Sounds good enough for me, Kai asked. Can I see the assessment too? I'm kind of curious. I'm afraid that is not possible. First, we can't afford to give you any information related to the military other than in an emergency. Second, the assessment won't take a long time, so I hope you can just stay in the school during the meantime. I can be your partner if you want. Kai waved his hand and thought about another thing. He pointed at Jules and said, I think I will just go with him and have a spar until they're done. Oh? Jules's eyes brightened as he nodded. Sure. Come to Campbell Family Mansion. I'm fired up. Then, I think we're done here. Arnaud nodded and turned to Rosalind. How about you return to your home first? I think the kids will be overjoyed with your news. Haha, don't worry. They are fine. I made sure they're fine. Rosalind contemplated for a moment and agreed. Yes, I think they will be happy with this news. I will return home for now. Though I can't really stay with them for the night due to our limitations, it's fine. Ha, I can get you special access though. No, you're already an S-rank magician, so you have that right. Arnaud shrugged. By the way, I forgot about your document, Sophia Campbell. Essentially, you've also become an S-rank magician, but we still need some approvals along with the power test from the military. The official information update will go together with your ranks later. I don't need the ranks. She pouted and looked away, muttering, I'm going to sneak out again after this anyway. Kai chuckled, feeling that she would just go to the US base after he left this place. Considering Kai already gave a powerful Rosalind that was stronger than Jules and Arnaud combined, they shouldn't be hateful and let go of Sophia. Rosalind suddenly tugged his hand and looked at him shyly. I would like to thank you personally. Do you happen to have time? I would like to invite you to my home. Kai thought for a moment and nodded. Sure, I don't have any plans right now. That's great. Rosalind smiled brightly. Chapter 463, Arentia Arnaud said, Then, you're free to go for today and rest for tomorrow. You can go to school again the day after. Kai and the others nodded as Arnaud finally turned around, leaving them with Jules. After saying a few things to Sophia, Jules also returned to the Campbell family. Rosalind was still in euphoria as she couldn't contain her smile. Now that I think about it, if I'm not wrong, you're an orphan, right, Rosalind? Sophia asked politely, not wanting to be rude while bringing such an insensitive topic. Yes. Rosalind nodded. There is an orphanage half an hour away from here. But if you mind, then I don't think you should come with me. I don't want to bother you. I shrugged. It's fine. There is nothing I can do in the dorm anyway. Kai shrugged. Indeed. Sophia agreed with Kai before saying, It's still 1 p.m., so I think it's a good time for a visit. Rosalind nodded and stretched her hand. Then, please follow me. She then guided them to the orphanage where she grew up. The building didn't seem to be that worn down. It was a 2-story long building that seemed to be able to fit more than 100 people. Considering the distance from the entrance and the building, there should be a playground and a garden between them. Kai could even listen to the waves of laughter and excitement from the kids. With just a slight glance from the outside, he could see many drawings on the building's wall to brighten the orphanage. All in all, from this point alone, he knew this place was a good orphanage. Rosalind then stopped right before the entrance and waved her hand to the entrance with a big smile on her face. This is the place I grew up. It's called Arentia. Kai nodded and finally made his appearance before slightly turning his head to the side and lowering his vision, finding a cute, red-haired girl. She looked at Kai with her big eyes with amazement before she spun her body and shouted, Big sister has returned with a man. Emergency meeting. Emergency meeting. She kept shouting while running to the playground where most of the children were. Wah! Alicia! Rosalind was taken aback and shouted. She then looked at Kai, wanting to explain. Sophia then walked past Kai and decided to tease her. Heh, the big sister is bringing a man home, Sophia. Rosalind shouted to stop her. After training together with her for 3 months, their relationship improved and they didn't spite each other anymore. Instead, they just teased them to make the other party embarrassed. Rosalind then awkwardly stared at Kai and said, let's enter the place first. When they were about to enter, Kai suddenly raised his hands to the side before 2 kids came out and jumped toward him. The first one was a 7-year-old boy with spiky blonde hair, while the other one was a female of the same age with brown hair. Both of them raised their hands as if they wanted to attack Kai. Attack him! Before Rosalind could react, Kai already appeared right before them with his hands above their heads. What? He disappears? The boy widened his eyes and tried to find Kai, but to no avail. No, he is here? The female, on the other hand, managed to find her and looked at Kai, who suddenly appeared next to them. Kai simply placed his hands on the kids' heads before putting a bit of his strength to force them to land on the ground. The landing was smooth to avoid anything that could potentially hurt the kid. Kai even patted their heads a few times. You two are energetic, aren't you? Well, just be more careful next time. It's not polite to greet a guest with a kick, said Kai with a smile. The 2 kids were simply stunned and didn't understand how Kai could do something like this. Still, they found it cool to see Kai do these amazing things that even their sister couldn't. The boy literally looked at him with adoration, saying, "So cool." The female looked away as she couldn't stare at him in the eyes. Rosalind couldn't take it and shout, "Jack, Timothy, what are you two doing to the guest?" The boy instinctively answered, "We heard that big sister comes back with a guy, so we wanted to test him. Jacques told me the plan." There it is, his blabbermouth. Jacques closed her eyes, resigning to her fate. You too. Rosalind's eyebrows twitched as she gradually walked forward, planning to punish both of them. Haha, it's good to have you this energetic. Kai laughed and stroked the boy's head before stopping when someone was about to open the door again. This time, it was a middle-aged woman with gentle eyes. She had long red hair like Alicia and wore a white shirt as well as a long skirt. I see. You've returned, Rosalind. Auntie? Rosalind's expression instantly changed, and she looked at her before finding 2 more people behind her. The first one was a 13-year-old female with blonde hair tied into twin tails. She dressed in a loose shirt and short pants, looking at Kai with a lazy expression as if it was so hard for her to open her eyes. The second one was a 15-year-old female with long black hair. She wore a one-piece dress that was neatly tied on the waist with a black belt. She politely greeted Kai when their eyes intertwined. Welcome. Felice and Sonia are here too. Rosalind smiled and waved her hands. Welcome back, sis. The older female gently smiled at her while the younger one only nodded her head. I see, so this is him. The middle-aged woman walked toward Kai and smiled. May I presume you're the famous Kai Carter? Kai already had activated his auto-translate function, but since the other party could only speak French, he only nodded his head with a smile. Ah, I'm sorry. I forgot the fact that you're not from here. It's fine. Kai waved his hand before Rosalind translated it for him. How about coming in first? The kids are playing outside, so it won't be too noisy. Kai nodded again before releasing the 2 kids. Please, this way. The middle-aged woman then asked him to go inside. When they were about to enter the building, the 2 kids, who attacked Kai out of the blue, thought they managed to get away from it, only to find another hand grabbing their heads. Kai's big and reliable hands that protected them from Rosalind had finally gone, so they gulped down the moment they felt this nostalgic feeling on their heads. I need to talk with both of you first. Rosalind glared at them, sending chills down their spine. No! The 2 kids screamed. Meanwhile, Kai and Sophia arrived inside. The living room was spacious and filled with toys, but he found a few couches where the kids could sit down. I'm sorry that it's a mess. It's fine, Sophia replied this time without even Kai answering since she already knew Kai's answer. Ah, I'm sorry for not greeting you earlier, Miss Sophia Campbell. It's my pleasure to meet you. I'm just a normal high school student. You don't need to be polite with me. Sophia shook her head. Is that so? The woman then let Kai sit on the couches, before she and the other two girls sat diagonally from him. Surprisingly, the lazy girl, Felice, sat next to Kai before dropping her head on his lap. This is different from Sonia's. It makes me sleepy. Felice? What are you doing? You're rude to our guest. Sonia tried to drag her back, but the latter already closed her eyes and slapped her hands. You! Kai was amazed at first, but soon chuckled. Haha, it's normal for a kid to be spoiled like this, though. It's not good to be that lazy. Felice slightly opened her eyes and pouted. Why? Why do people hate lazy people? I mean, we're not even doing anything. Kai looked at Felice, who seemed to be able to reply to him in English. He chuckled and said, Maybe I should change my perspective about you. You're not lazy, but bored, right? Felice widened her eyes for the first time and looked at Kai with a shocked expression. Even Sonia and the middle-aged woman couldn't help but feel impressed by Kai's observation. To think Kai would figure her out in an instant. How do you know? Sonia asked slowly because she still felt uncomfortable speaking in English. At least, it wasn't as fluent as Felice. Well, from her expression, her tone, her heartbeat, and so on, I know how she is feeling. Do you think it's creepy? Kai smiled, thinking that if he mentioned all those things, they would feel uncomfortable. He just wanted to test the three people before him. Big Brother. Felisa surprisingly just made her head more comfortable in his lap and called him Big Brother as her approval. Well, we're surprised to see that someone could see through Felice in an instant. She always puts on that lazy face every day, so the others don't know what she is thinking. Even I can't say I understand her 100%. The middle-aged woman shook her head in defeat, saying everything in English. She seemed to be not a normal person either, since Kai could feel the rusty aura emanating from her body. Kai only smiled and placed his hand on top of her head, gently stroking her head. He wondered if this was how it felt to have a younger sister or something, since he was the only child in the family, while Tasha was more to a lover than a sibling. She was a big sister as well, so this was the first time he experienced it. Chapter 464. Playing with the kids. After sorting out a few things with them, they began telling about Rosalind's past. The middle-aged woman could only sigh when she recalled everything she went through, feeling ashamed of herself. That girl is a strong girl. She's been fighting for this orphanage since young. Even when the kids here were bullied, she would protect them. These two are the examples. We once had a financial problem back then and could barely afford to eat. The girl didn't eat during that problem and tried to take on a job to get money for the kids. After finally, she started working for Union and climbed through the ranks in public school. She kept fighting on the front line, wrestling with her life just to make sure the kids can happily live here. Heis. I always wanted the girl to prioritize herself from time to time, but the middle-aged woman didn't continue and let out a long sigh. Kai didn't reply to her for a moment before smiling. I believe the kids also know about it since they respect her so much. Yes, indeed. A few kids took the initiative to ask me what happened, and I told them everything. I wouldn't dare to take credit or lie to them about this, so they knew that Rosalind had done so much for them, even if she didn't want to take the credit. Kai nodded and informed them. Actually, the same girl has received the promotion to S-rank magician. Both the middle-aged woman and Sonia opened their eyes wide, looking at Kai. You! I won't lie about something this important. Kai shook his head, erasing all their doubts. However, Felice managed to understand the entire situation in an instant as she opened her mouth while her eyes remained closed. Everything is related to Big Brother. Big Sister's promotion won't happen anytime soon, so the only reason for her promotion is the mission that took her 3 months of her time. From how you visited us together with Big Sister, you must be together with her this whole time, to the point Big Sister told you about this orphanage. The fact that Big Brother is famous for your strength while getting surrounded by mysteries. Or at least, that's why the news keeps spreading a bit of information at the time, making it hard for us to understand you completely while forcing us to idolize you. In other words, the mission that took 3 months to finish has changed her life completely, turning her into an S-rank magician, which I don't know how, for the time being, with how Big Brother portrayed Big Sister, she seemed to have gotten far stronger than her previous strength, and everything happened in a mere 3 months. After calculating a few more variables, Big Brother must be related to this promotion, Felice explained while still comfortably laying down on Kai's lap. All four of them were stunned, including Kai. He never thought Felice would be this smart. Everything was pinpoint. You are good. Kai smiled and stroked her hair again. Felice only smiled and cozily enjoyed his hand. Want to go back with me to the US base? Kai smirked. As your wife? Haha, you should grow up first before even thinking about it. Kai gently flicked her forehead. I have a great business for Big Brother. If you get Big Sister now, you will receive me as a bonus. I'm here for a mission, not to search for a wife. I've got my hands full, you know. Kai shook his head helplessly. Ah, that means I can't enjoy this lap again. Haha, you are not lazy. You just think too fast to the point you feel the world is revolving so slowly. That's why you're bored. Kai flicked her head again before raising his vision, finding a few people coming inside. Ah, it's true. They are here. One of the kids shouted, alarming all the kids that he brought inside. They all looked at Kai with great curiosity, as Kai fully knew that the two kids that tried to attack him in the front yard had told them about his existence. The kids entered and ran toward Kai. Big brother, are you Big Sister's man? We've heard it from. Rosalind finally entered the room and tried to mitigate the entire situation. Kai only smiled since he couldn't answer them in French. Instead, he asked Sophia next to him. After understanding what he wanted to say, Sophia opened her mouth. He said he is not. He is coming here to play with all of you guys. Play with us? The kids opened their mouths in amazement and quickly grabbed Kai's hands, trying to drag him to the playground outside. Let's go. Mew, Felice pouted when she felt the shake, knowing Kai would be taken away. She slightly got up to avoid falling over due to the sudden movement. As soon as Kai rose from the couch, the kids pulled him to the backyard, where he could find many things such as slides and other things that would interest the kids. There was a net above them, so the kids wouldn't feel that hot despite playing under the sun. Besides, it wasn't like it was that hot even during the day. Meanwhile, Felice surprisingly dragged herself to the backyard and decided to sit in the corner, watching how everything unfolded. Sophia, on the contrary, waited for them to come back as she began talking about a few things with the middle-aged woman and Sonia. Ah, I'm sorry for this display. Rosalind quickly approached Kai with a bit red on her cheek. Kai simply waved his hand with a smile, saying, It's fine. You should enjoy yourself more. After that, Rosalind was taken aback by Felice's appearance since she rarely would come out, and she didn't need to figure it out to know Kai was the one who brought her here since the latter had her eyes locked on Kai. Before she could say something, a young boy suddenly approached Kai and tugged his sleeve. Big brother, let's play. Does Big Brother know anything about any game? Kai thought for a moment before Felice, who surprisingly appeared next to Kai, said, I will be translating your words. Rosalind dropped her jaw to the ground, looking at Felice as if she was not the Felice she knew. Listening to her words, Kai took that offer. Sure, thanks. Kai thought for a moment before lifting the kid gently. I can do this. Felice quickly translated it, so the boy understood what Kai was saying. A magic circle appeared below the boy's feet, as he suddenly felt his body light due to something pushing him to the air. Don't move suddenly, okay? Kai smiled. As soon as Felice translated it, Kai began loosening his grip, letting the boy floating in the air. This was his sound levitation magic, and Kai had adjusted it slightly for kid use. Now you can float. Wah! The boy was surprised and tried to look down to check whether he was really floating or not. He then carefully moved his hands and feet, causing his body to shift a bit, as if he was in a room without zero gravity. This is interesting. The boy seemed to like it, as he slowly adjusted his body, spinning his body around. Ha ha ha! The laughter quickly picked the other children's attention when they saw their friend playing something different. Another boy walked toward him and asked shyly, Big brother, can I do it too? Kai simply smiled and lifted him up before creating another magic circle to levitate him. He told him to be careful too, which was translated by Felice. Since the tone and the words Felice said were the same, he believed Felice told everything Kai said, so there wouldn't be any translation mistake. Looking at how happy these two were, Kai summoned more than 10 magic circles at the same time, creating a certain track with his sound levitation. There were curves, slides, slopes, and so on, making it look like a small race circuit for a toy car. Kai then connected the two to the circuit in succession, letting them float in the current like a fish following a sea current. The two kids couldn't stop laughing as they were having fun with this new stuff. They didn't know Kai couldn't do something like this a few months ago. So, this was the result of his training. He could control the direction of his sound wave at this level. They could even spin their bodies around without accidentally leaving and falling to the ground. Since the other kids were interested as well, Kai made a big magic circle that allowed them to stay afloat, allowing almost everyone to play in a kind of zero-gravity room. Some also decided to play with the track. Rosalind was worrying about their safety and watched over them anxiously, but she didn't ask Kai to stop because the kids were having fun with this. And it wasn't like Kai would be coming here again, so she just let them have this fun today. Suddenly, one of the kids knocked on the other. The collision bounced one kid out of the magic circle. Right after the kid fell off, Kai, with his super reflex, already appeared next to the kid and caught her gently, carrying her like a princess. "Are you all right?" The kid was entranced for a few seconds before nodding her head repeatedly. "That's good." Kai smiled and asked, "Do you want to continue playing?" "Yes." "It's fun, big brother." Kai nodded and put her back above the magic circle so she could continue. Seeing that action, Felice quickly threw herself toward the magic circle and floated for a few seconds before she purposely left and acted as if she fell off. "Oh no." Felice tried to alarm Kai, but ended up getting ignored and fell down with her face hitting the ground first. She thumped and pouted. "This is not working." Chapter 465. Felice. Not long after the playing session, they returned to the inside. It was the time for the kids to study many things. Kai could find many subjects, starting from physics and such. The kids obviously didn't understand most of them, but they were asked to learn to see what kind of things they loved. It was at that time the caretaker started planning their future carefully. Kai helped them with what he knew. Obviously, half of them were actually interested in fighting for the Union like their big sister Rosalind. Some kids asked about Kai's experience and stories about the front line. In the end, Sophia was the one telling the kids about it, since it would be good to see it from the third perspective. Kai also wanted to see what kind of perception Sophia had about him. The stories were pretty simple. She only told them about Kai's power a bit, telling the kids that he could cut metal, like cutting butter, or lifting a car with his strength alone. After that, she told the kids about his strategy in the war, and how Kai ruled the entire battlefield with his strategy. They obviously loved to hear it. Without even listening to them, the kids were staring at Sophia in amazement. While they were listening to the kids, Rosalind and Sonia began to prepare food for dinner. Suddenly, Felice tugged his hand and looked at him with a serious expression. "Big brother, can I ask you about something? If possible, in private." Kai thought for a moment and nodded. He then pointed at the slightly less crowded area and asked, "How about there? I can use my sound insulation magic too, so no one can listen to our conversation." "Well, if possible, I would like to talk in a private area like my room, but I guess it's not possible, huh?" Felice looked down, feeling a bit sad. "Unfortunately, yes. I have my own integrity and rules that I won't break." Kai gently smiled. There were two reasons why he wanted to avoid talking in a private area. The first one was to prevent any rumor about him staying in a room with a girl, let alone an underage one, even though the legal age had been lowered to 15 years old due to the apocalypse. Secondly, he didn't want to make his girls jealous or had the need to lie to them about this private thing. Felice understood his concern and nodded, following him to a slightly less crowded corner. Kai then activated his sound insulation magic and asked, "So, what is your question?" "Actually, I don't have any vision about my future. I don't know what I want to do. It just looks like a black and white world." Felice sighed. "Being a genius is not easy, eh?" Kai smiled. "Big brother is also a genius." Felice shook her head. "All your military exploits can only be achieved by a genius. That's why I thought Big brother could understand me." Kai smiled and patted her head. "For me, I have a drive that forces me to keep going no matter how hard it is. No matter how boring it is. As long as I remember what drives me, I can continue. Do you have that?" Felice furrowed her eyebrows and shook her head. "Although I hate myself to say this, I'm indeed grateful for everything Big Sister has done for me, but it's at the level where I will pay her back and end it there. May I know?" "Never mind. The only thing that drives me is my family. I suffered through my childhood because my ears are special, forcing me to listen to something I don't want to hear. Imagine when you are only a few years old, you can listen to the neighbors telling you are weird and don't want their kids to associate with you or your friend actually talk bad about you behind your back. At the same time, all those voices are replaying in my head at maximum volume. Felice looked at Kai with her mouth slightly open before shaking her head helplessly. I might have gone crazy. Big brother is strong. Nope, I'm not strong. I have gone crazy, you know. However, the one thing that keeps me going is the fact that my family has never once said anything about my defect and such. They never complained, discussed the hardship of raising me, or cursed about these unique ears. I want to repay them and take care of them for the rest of my life to show my gratitude for raising me. In my journey, I find someone who becomes my strength and keeps pushing me forward. I want to protect all of this, even if I need to shred my flesh and blood. Kai gently smiled before patting her head. You don't need to feel pressured. There is no telling when you can find something like that. It can be 10 years from now, or you may never find it. But what I know is, the chance is never zero as long as you keep chasing it. Committing suicide is just the way of a coward who only wants the easy way out. That's what I believe in. Kai finished his explanation with a smile. Felice looked at Kai with a dumbfounded look before closing her eyes. Suddenly, a smile appeared on her face as she said, "That's a sweet story, big brother." Ahaha. Kai scratched the back of his head, never intending to make it like that. I see. I may not be able to find it, but from Big Brother's story, I can still get that strength to go on. Felice smiled. Yes. You want to pay Rosalind back? Do it. At that time, you may find another thing you want to do. No matter how small it is, you can keep doing it. If you want to give a homeless person money, how about you teach him how to make money and give him shelter? By doing so, you can do good while spending more time in this boring world. Before you know it, you have many things you want to do to the point you need to start rushing many things. Your everyday life will start getting occupied. Kai smiled. Felice gently nodded. Listening to Big Brother eases my heart. You don't sugarcoat your words like other people who ask me to keep pushing forward without giving me the solution itself. Instead, you give me the positive and negative things I need to know and what to do in this situation. I just don't like giving an empty promise. Besides, I don't give you any solution. It's only my personal experiences. Actually, I feel like I want to do something. Oh? I want to be Big Brother's wife. Hold up. What did you say? Kai widened his eyes. Haha, I'm joking. She chuckled. But it's true that I would like to do something for Big Brother. I feel like I will find something that I need in my life to keep me going forward. That's why you don't mind if I try hard to give you something back, right? Well, I don't mind, but you shouldn't make my girls jealous, you know. Kai shook his head helplessly. I want to be a leading scientist. I want to decipher everything about magic. Why do humans have magic? And why the magical beasts evolve due to this magic? Maybe, at that time, Big Brother doesn't need to go to the battlefield anymore, since I will solve the world's problems. That's quite a big goal you have there. That may sound like too big for a goal, and it's idiotic. I don't even mind if Big Brother laughs at me. But, before she finished, Kai already patted her head again. I won't laugh at you. If you think you can do it, then do it. Do you think it's possible for me to become a general of the army within 1 year? When they don't know about my achievement, they will believe it's not possible. But when I'm like this, it's just a matter of time, right? It's ridiculous but not laughable. Felice smiled. Then, I will probably start learning about Big Brother's magic first. From my perspective, I could see that Big Brother's magic is generated from science, sound levitation, supersonic vibration, and other things. As expected from the unorthodox S-rank sound magician, Kai only laughed it off, but Felice stopped him with a serious expression. But I found that the magic you used earlier was slightly different from science. In fact, you have just broken the physics law by creating an invisible track for the kids to swim around. Kai's expression turned serious, never expecting someone could see through it, let alone someone who didn't know him. When he took another look at Felice, he felt that Felice might be able to do it. So, what are your plans? I can give you a recommendation to anyone you want to meet, you know. Felice looked down, contemplating for a minute before answering. I have two people I would like to meet. Ho? She's also a leading scientist, despite the fact she is a general of the army. I will make her my role model. Haha, that's a good role model you have. Kai couldn't contain his smile. He obviously felt happy when his teacher was recognized by others. Then, the second person, I don't know if I should say it. Just tell me that person. Take it as I'm interested in you. Kai smiled. Is that so? Felice hesitated for a few seconds before saying, the S-rank magician known as Poison Master. Kai widened his eyes but still nodded his head. I understand. I will tell someone to arrange it. Maybe after you learn many things from her, you can move to the US base to meet my teacher. I will be waiting for you in the US base. Yes, that's right. One more thing. Since you want to decipher my magic, I will give you a reward if you manage to do it. Kai smiled. Really? Yes. What is the reward? The little truth behind what you called magic, and why no one manages to see through it until now. Kai smirked. Chapter 466, Favor. When Felice heard about it, she widened her eyes and drew a gasp, looking at Kai with a dumbfounded expression. Kai himself thought it was just a normal secret, since it would be fine if humanity knew that magic power was actually a magic particle that was far smaller than an atom. As long as they didn't know anything about protectors and such, they should be fine. Big Brother already knows about it? Felice asked, feeling unsure. Yep. Let's say I know more than you and the government. Kai smirked. I am not lying to you just to make you interested in this matter. Although she still doubted this secret, Kai didn't have any reason to lie, so she decided to trust him for the time being. This should keep her going for a few years. I understand. The challenge is on. I'm going to prove that I can decipher Big Brother's magic. The only reason he allowed Felice to learn about this was his belief in a genius like her. Her analytical skill was superb, so he thought her research would teach him something about his sound magic, allowing him to understand another sound magic. He patted her head again while Felice giggled, looking at Kai like her own brother. She didn't know why, but it was so easy to talk with Kai than any other people she had met this whole time. It might be the same reason why Rhea clicked with Kai. In fact, if Rhea Ross were here, she might have asked Kai to take her as his student. But without her, Felice seemed to have the same intention as she said, Big Brother, can I change the reward? It's true that having known the answer to the magic power is exciting. I feel like I can be happier with Big Brother. So, I won't say anything about becoming your wife. But can I request to be your student? Of course, it's not about research or something. I want to learn how to fight too. Kai fell silent and looked Felice in the eyes. Are you sure? Why would you want to get stronger? I just want to protect myself. At least, I won't be a burden to Big Sister if somehow we're targeted by people. She shrugged. Kai contemplated for a moment and said, I will consider it after you put in some effort. Since Felice was lazing around this whole time because she was bored, he decided to give a test. The time limit is 1 year. I want you to impress me with your performance. Kai smirked. Felice looked down and nodded. I understand. I will show you my change in 1 year. Sure. Then, I will ask someone to let you meet the Poison Master. I want you to make sure you. Before he finished, Felice replied, I won't stand out that much to the point I can't go anywhere. With my current background, it's indeed hard for me to leave this place if I'm becoming too important in Union's eyes. It's not like I have an attachment in this base anyway, so I don't mind relocating in the future. I will keep building my strength and research in a year before showing you something that can impress you. Kai smiled and patted her head again. I am looking forward to it. Hee. After learning with the kids, the food arrived. The meal was delicious and the atmosphere was cheerful the whole time. Felice remained silent while Sophia kept glancing at her, wondering what the two talked about earlier. However, since Kai wanted to keep it a secret, she didn't press him with that matter, while Rosalind simply didn't watch him this whole time. There was no way she would know about this ambiguous relationship between Kai and Felice. With how Felice acted to Kai, she simply looked like someone who adored him and wanted to get closer to him as if he was her idol. Felice also didn't show anything excessive, since she knew Rosalind was here to keep an eye on Kai. And it was at this time they announced Rosalind's promotion. The kids obviously felt happy for Rosalind since she deserved it. She had been the best big sister for them. After eating, the kids took a bath. Rosalind and Sophia entered the bath with the girls before Kai and the boys used it. Although they didn't stop laughing or shouting, Kai didn't mind at all and played with them in the water or washed their backs. They had their fun and the fatigue had finally taken over them. Some of the younger ones were already sleepy as they returned to their rooms. Unfortunately, it was also the time for Kai, Sophia, and Rosalind to return to the school. Felice, Sonia, and all the kids, who were still awake, sent them off with smiles and waving hands. Kai had given his contact information to Felice secretly, and this was also the only channel that could be used to send a message to the US base without the Union knowing. After returning to their room, Theo opened his device before Sophia couldn't contain her curiosity anymore. "Who are you calling? It seems you have taken a liking to Felice," Sophia asked while stretching her body on the bed. Kai smiled and asked, "Jealous? If it were the past me, I would have felt that way, but there is something in my heart telling me that I don't need to be jealous or anything. In fact, it only makes me look like an annoying BTG. It must be something I've learned in the memory gap." Sophia shrugged. "Hee. Let's say that this kid is quite unique. I can understand her more than anyone else here." Kai smiled. "She is like you?" She smiled. "I believe so. Do you want to keep her here?" Kai smirked and looked at her, only to end up seeing her chest that was barely covered since she stretched her hand upward, raising her loose tank top. She thought for a moment and said, "If I say I won't, will you believe me?" Yes, without hesitation. Kai made a genuine expression, showing it to her. Sophia nodded with a smile. "Well, it's not like there is a benefit of keeping her here. If she can improve much faster with you, it's good for humanity. I don't know why, but I feel our real enemy is not our rivalry or terrorist organizations. Instead, it's a whole different thing. I only know if we keep fighting each other, we will lose." "You are not wrong." Kai confirmed her weird feeling and continued. "There is something you don't need to know for the time being, but they will surely come sooner or later. I believe it's within 3 years. "So, that's why you put that limit?" "Yes." I understand. I don't know if I can help you or not, but I will do my best to help you during this time. I only want you to know I will be following you when you return to the US base. I can't promise it will be done immediately, but I promise I will come back." "Come back?" Kai smiled and nodded. "Thanks. No need to mind. It's my decision." Sophia shrugged. "Anyway, you are calling someone?" "Yes." Kai then showed the contact to Sophia and called him. "Hello. Do you need anything from me?" "Yeah. I would like to ask for a favor." "Oh?" Arnaud seemed to be amused by this sudden call about favor. They didn't owe each other any favor. Even the earlier mission where Sophia and Rosalind ended up becoming the strongest agents in the EU base had been paid because it was an agreement. Hence, Kai wanted to owe him a favor, and it seemed to be personal. "I'm listening. Can you give a personal recommendation to the Poison Master? I would like to recommend someone to study under her." Arnaud fell silent. "So, you are saying you want me to be this person's guarantor instead of you? You should know that your status alone is enough to ask for a favor from her, right?" "Yeah. I don't want her to be seen that way for now." Arnaud contemplated for a moment and said, "I understand. I will guarantee this person and ask the Poison Master to take in someone. Of course, I won't be responsible for this person's fate after that, okay? If this person runs away from the Poison Master, I won't say anything to make him her stay." "Yeah, it's fine. Still, I wonder who manages to catch your intention. You have been visiting the orphanage, right?" "Yes." "She is Felice." "Oh, that lazy girl?" Arnaud was surprised to see Kai taking Felice seriously. From his impression, Felice seemed to have no ambition. "That girl is pitiful." Kai simply said this sentence that could be easily misunderstood. Arnaud decided not to pry it that much and said, "I understand. I will help you with her and promise you that I won't influence her or anything. But just so you know, I won't take any responsibility if the Union puts her in their eyes." "Yeah, I'm aware of the challenge. I will be leaving her in your hand." "Sure." After that call, Sophia remained silent and wondered what he saw from Felice. But since they would be together from now on, the answer would come sooner or later, so she decided not to ask. The next day, they wandered around the school as Kai asked about the exoskeleton he ordered a few months ago. Fortunately, she managed to fulfill his order and handed the exoskeleton to him when they met again. Kai quickly shipped the exoskeleton to Ayaka so she could become stronger. Then, without having anything to do, Kai only trained by himself as Sophia gave him some space while handling the school's matter and took the strength assessment as planned. Chapter 467. Mission 3 days later. Sophia and Rosalind had finished their assessment and returned with their own proof as one of the S-rank magicians. Sophia didn't really release all her power to make Rosalind stand out more. After all, if she was known to be stronger, the Union might not let her go. But with them knowing Rosalind was stronger and could defeat Jules and Arnaud, they would place more importance on Rosalind, not caring if Sophia would leave this place or not. The only doubt in this scenario would be their attitude to Kai. Because their memories were removed, none of them knew Kai's real strength. They simply knew Kai was strong, but they didn't know how much stronger he had become. Due to this unknown threat, they decided to leave Kai in Rose's hand again while handing one mission. This was also part of the agreement with the US base, and they planned to use Kai to the fullest to expand their territory. When Sophia and Rosalind returned to the school, Rosalind asked for a meeting with Kai. They decided to do it in Kai and Sophia's room. Before the meeting started, Rosalind activated his device and showed him a map. This took Sophia by surprise, while Kai frowned. It seems they are indeed planning to work me to the bone. Rosalind made a weird expression, knowing Kai must have predicted what kind of mission they would receive. After all, the map she showed earlier was a map covering Poland, Ukraine, Moscow, and Finland, creating a giant square. So, what is the mission? Kai asked. If I'm not wrong, you have taken over Belarus, so you are not planning to say we are going to Moscow, right? Rosalind gulped down and looked away. As expected, Kai let out a long sigh and asked, "Why not the Ukraine?" "Let me explain the whole situation first." Rosalind stroked her cheek with her finger gently while making a forced smile. "Sure." Kai nodded. After taking over Belarus and Finland. Before she finished, Kai already understood their goal. "I see. You want to attack Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia." Rosalind was speechless before remembering Kai was a genius in warfare. She simply nodded her head without talking back. "Our front, Belarus, is surrounded in 3 directions. In the south, we need to face so many magical beasts from Ukraine. Then there is Moscow, which is basically the main threat. Lastly, the north, Lithuania and Latvia. Many of our soldiers remained in Finland, so they had enough confidence to break through St. Petersburg and attack Estonia. Then, according to the mission, there will be a huge shift in Belarus. Instead of taking 3 fronts, they will move 50% of their force to stop any threat from Ukraine. 20% of the soldiers will back you up in the mission, which is to destroy all the threats coming from Moscow. The remaining soldiers will join the soldiers from Poland to hit Lithuania before making their way to Latvia. And our specific mission is to stop all magical beasts from Moscow before making our way to Latvia to prevent any beasts from interrupting us when we attack Lithuania and Estonia." Kai sighed. "You are asking too much. How many monsters do you think we need to handle in Moscow?" "That." Rosalind also understood the difficulty of this mission. "I will be the commanding officer in this mission, meaning you can order me as you like and use the soldiers as you see fit." "Rosalind," Kai shook his head, "I'm sure you know this is not a matter that a few thousand soldiers can handle, right?" "I know." Rosalind sighed. "I have one demand." "May I know what it is?" "I won't accept this mission unless there is another S-rank magician handling all those soldiers. You, I, and Sophia will go to Moscow to wreak havoc there without thinking about the defense in Belarus." Rosalind widened her eyes, never expecting Kai to accept. "If it were the past me, I wouldn't accept it because I heard Moscow is extremely dangerous. But you and Sophia have gotten stronger, so I won't mind accepting it as long as they fulfill my own demand." Kai narrowed his eyes. "I understand. I will convince them. No, I will force them to agree with your decision." Rosalind nodded with a serious expression. "Then, give me the information about Moscow." Rosalind then showed another map. There were many red dots in Moscow, as she said. "There are at least 1,000 rank magical beasts in Moscow right now, but the most dangerous ones are 13 intelligent beasts among them. 10 of them are near our border." Kai nodded. "We can kill them one by one, but I'm not sure whether they are in contact or not. You should take another look at their positions." Rosalind frowned and turned around, looking at the red dots shown on the map. Focus on the ones near Latvia. Rosalind nodded and focused on 4 beasts near Latvia before she saw the bigger picture. Wait, this kind of formation, they are luring us. Kai nodded. The moment we enter Moscow, they will force all the magical beasts in Ukraine to go to hit Belarus to devastate them. We won't have any reinforcement. Then, with this kind of formation, they will be able to send reinforcement to surround us, especially from Latvia. In other words, they truly want us to hit Moscow first before going to Latvia. And this deliberate plan. Kai closed his eyes and let out a long sigh. There must be a very intelligent one. I'm suspecting that US base's enemy is among them to arrange everything. They are literally trying to kill me. Sophia squinted her eyes before getting worried about this mission. Even Rosalind started doubting herself, wondering if it was a good idea to proceed with this mission. Even so, I'm curious what they have for me. I don't think we will see many of them, probably 1 or 2. I can handle one, but you and Sophie will fight the other one for me. Kai smiled. That's why I want one S-rank magician in this mission to manage the defense, since I can't predict what will happen in this mission. Rosalind nodded seriously, taking note of what Kai said. Do you have anything to say about the mission or the plan? Nope. Since they're trying to work me to the bone, I'm going to stay at least 1.5 months in this one mission alone. 3 weeks in Moscow and the other 3 weeks in Latvia. Still, this feels weird. Kai let out a long sigh. What do you mean? Rosalind frowned. The plans make it look like I'm being targeted. Kai narrowed his eyes and asked, Is there a spy from those guys within the Union? Rosalind widened her eyes in surprise. She certainly didn't expect Kai to doubt the Union. This wasn't as simple as Union working him to the bone. It was more like the Union sent him to his death. If Kai actually publicized the reason and his disappointment, the citizens would have lost their trust in the Union. I don't know. I can pass this message to Sir Arnaud. Kai nodded. Sure. Anyway, there is no change of plan. We will go to Moscow and kill the intelligent magical beasts while murdering a few thousand beasts on our way. Then, we will hit Latvia and wreak havoc in that place. I understand. When do we leave? Kai asked, and tried to calculate the battle plan. In 2 days. What is the number of soldiers that will defend Belarus from Moscow? There are 40,000 soldiers, but all the elites from schools who have equipped the exoskeleton won't be there, so we can't count on them. Kai contemplated for a moment and nodded. I think that's good enough. This mission will be more dangerous than the one we had a few days ago, you know. Rosalind nodded with a serious expression. I have prepared myself. Since you have given me the opportunity to become an S-rank magician, I should repay you as much as possible, even if you think it's fine. Suit yourself. Kai shrugged, knowing Rosalind wouldn't budge in this matter. He then turned to Sophia. Are you going with me? You are still asking that question. Sophia tilted her head in confusion. It's your hometown after all. Kai shook his head with a smile. You have included me in your plan this whole time, and you're asking me that question now? Don't you dare to leave me out of this mission. Sophia pouted. Besides, I'm curious as to how strong I have become. This is a perfect mission to see the extent of my strength. Kai nodded and looked at Rosalind. That's all. I will leave the rest to you. Yes, I will handle everything perfectly. Rosalind nodded with a serious expression while bringing the device back with her, walking to the door and opening it. Good night. Yeah, good night. Rest well. Kai waved his hand. Rosalind then left the room with a serious expression. In front of Kai's door, Rosalind closed her eyes and leaned to the door with a tired expression. The pressure she received from Kai was indeed extraordinary. It wasn't the aura of a fighter or veteran. It was a simple aura from a general that ordered the soldiers to fight with their lives on the line while minimizing their casualties. If Kai actually used the soldiers to the front line, he would surely become a good commander that could devastate the magical beasts. But Kai chose to go with only her and Sophia to avoid any unnecessary casualties. So this is General Kai. No wonder he has become a general, this young lieutenant general. Rosalind thought before taking out her device. Arnaud's name was on the screen as she pushed the call button. Hello, Sir Arnaud. Chapter 468, Highest Discussion. In his office, Arnaud, who was busy dealing with the extra work, suddenly woke up from his workaholic mode by a call. He turned his head around and looked at his device, finding Rosalind's name on it. He picked up the call and heard Rosalind's voice. "Hello, Sir Arnold." "Oh, Rosalind. You don't need to be polite to me anymore, you know. After all, you have become far stronger than me." Arnaud chuckled. "No, sir, that can't be done. Respect is something gained, not forced on you just because someone is older or higher than you." "Haha, fine, I won't say anything about it anymore." Arnaud paused for a moment and raised his vision, finding someone in front of his door. Knock, knock. Someone knocked on the door twice before opening the door, peeking inside the room. He was a young man in his early 20s. He made a weird expression as he opened his mouth. "I'm sorry, sir, but there is an important guest who is searching for you." Arnaud furrowed his eyebrows, feeling that there was something big in this call since Rosalind must have explained the mission to Kai. Hence, he tried to probe things first with Rosalind. "Can you wait for me a bit?" "This is actually super important, sir. It's the revision of the mission plan of our expansion from Sir Kai Carter. There are a few major deals that need to be taken care of." After thinking for a moment, Arnaud decided to prioritize Rosalind and asked the young man, "Can you tell her to wait for me a bit? There is an even more important matter I need to handle." "This, I will tell her." When the young man was about to leave the room, a green-haired woman pushed the door open as she entered the room. She wore a long purple dress, hiding her curves not to make someone go into a trance. "So, is this important enough to make me wait, Arnaud?" The one who entered the room was none other than the poison master, Rena Alberona, Liesa's mother. "I have felt your presence and know who my guest is. That's why I am putting you aside right now." Arnaud face-palmed. "Does Sir have an important matter?" Rosalind asked. "Oh, the sound. It sure rings in my head. Is she your girl?" "What is her name again?" "Rosalind, the new S-rank magician." She narrowed her eyes. "This, ma'am, Rena." Rosalind recognized her voice as well, but to avoid any confrontation, Arnaud quickly stopped Rena. "I'm afraid you need to leave first. I need to handle an important business." "What is this business that you think an S-rank magician like me can't know?" Rena smirked. Arnaud felt things would end smoothly, so he decided to open the matter itself. "It's about the upcoming war. What do you want to talk about? I will judge whether it's more important or not." "Ho? I'm sure it's more important." Rena smiled and sat down before him. "Let me see. The girl you recommend to me, Felice, was it? I have done a background check on her and know you were visiting the orphanage every now and then. Yet, you have never recommended someone to me. But everything changed the moment Kai Carter visited the orphanage. You suddenly asked me to take in someone. Since you are the closest agent to Kai Carter, I think it's related to him." Rena looked at Arnaud coldly and asked, "What are you planning, Arnaud?" K. Arnaud didn't know what to answer anymore. Meanwhile, Rosalind was surprised as she couldn't help but utter that confusion. "Eh, Felice? Ho? This is more interesting since our little genius doesn't even know about this." Rena smirked. "This is more interesting. Oi!" Arnaud gritted his teeth. Seeing this expression was already enough for Rena to come to a conclusion that the war talk was also related to Kai. Arnaud wouldn't be pushing her off if that wasn't the case, so she said, "Just let me stay here to listen to your war stuff." Arnaud contemplated for a moment and nodded. "Fine. Rosalind, tell me everything about his revision." Yes." Rosalind began telling him all Kai's speculation. When they talked about the positioning, Arnaud checked the map again and drew a gasp. Even Rena couldn't contain her surprise. The positions were information from their scouts, since it was important for them if they wanted to clear a certain area. And when there was a spy involved in the Union, Rena and Arnaud's expression turned ugly because they never expected to have a spy among their rank, especially from another race. "This guy." Rena furrowed her eyebrows. "From what I can see, his point is valid. I can see how this battle seems to be planned to a certain extent." Last but not least, Rosalind told them about Kai's request for reinforcement, specifically an S-rank magician involvement in defense. Of course, since Kai had gained a close relationship with Arnaud, he was planning to do it. But when he was about to answer her, Rena slammed the table and said, "I will go." Rosalind and Arnaud were taken aback. Rena wasn't someone who loved to go to war and focused on maintaining stability while ensuring the safety of the EU base. Yet, the same person actually wanted to go on a mission. It wasn't something unthinkable. "You? What? Defense is my forte, you know." poisoning your enemies continuously and letting them suffer without even fighting. It's something I'm good at. Rena smirked. Besides, I'm curious about this Kai person and want to see what he looks like, and probably knows the reason why he recommends this Felice. Besides, I have flown to French just to meet you, you know. Are you just going to make me leave empty-handed? Instead of going your way, how about this? I will help Kai Carter in maintaining the defense in Belarus. Meanwhile, you can send Jules to Finland or Poland to attack the 3 bases. This way, the only S rank in the base will be you, Arnor. You can start your investigation because you are the most important person aside from the Union, and I can clear my name since I am not participating in this spy thing. More importantly, I can see why the US base treasures this Kai Carter. She contemplated for a moment and asked, Rosalind, where are you reporting your duty? This, in my room? Which room? My dorm. My dorm. Then I'm sure you can hear my words too, right? Kai Carter. Rena suddenly assumed Kai would be able to hear their conversation since his ears were special. Kai himself only hit the wall once to let Rosalind know he was listening to their conversation. Since there was no complaint from his room, it seemed Kai agreed with Rena's involvement. Let's see. You are trying to grab this Felice kid from us, but you can't expect us to let her go just like that, right? With your mission and involvement in the expansion, I think Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia will already be in our bag. Us, and with your suspicion about the spies and the strong power from those guys? If they are proven to be true, and Sophia and Rosalind, who are well known in this space, get the same recognition to boost the EU base's morale, I think it's fine to protect this Felice kid and nurture her for you until the right time. I can promise that no harm will be done to this kid. Oi, oi, you're a terrible negotiator, aren't you? This is not a negotiation, it's a threat. Arnor furrowed his eyebrows. However, her terms didn't get any rejection from Kai, so she said, I will take your silence as a yes. And I am just taking advantage of the situation, especially regarding this threat you're talking about. I'm afraid the situation will escalate even further and impact our morale if the spy is someone in a higher rank. Hence, I feel like it's necessary to present this agreement. I will guarantee that Felice can go to your side even if the Union wants her. Arnor closed his eyes and waited for Kai's response, but the latter didn't say anything as if he agreed to their agreement. Arnor couldn't say anything about it, since Kai was fine with her terms. I will talk to Jules about this, and I'm sure he will understand and join the fight. For now, I am going to start my investigation within the Union to see if there's any spy or not, since they are trying to corrupt the Union. Lightning began to spark around his body, especially his desk. His eyes glowed slightly due to the darkness of the night, as well as the blinking light that almost went out of control because of the lightning from his body, making his eyes a bit brighter. He gritted his teeth and slammed his hand with anger as he said coldly, I'm not going to let someone destroy the Union. Chapter 469. Rena. After that talk, Kai rested his body for another day before going to Belarus with Sophia and Rosalind. However, Rena, the S-rank magician, decided to invite him when he left the base to go together. Kai then went to the military base and found Rena standing in front of the base, waiting for him. There were no people standing next to her, including the generals of the base. Kai didn't care personally, so he just ignored it and walked straight to Rena while extending his hand. Hello? Hello? Rena smiled and shook his hand. Nice to meet you. I'm sure this is the first time we've met. I'm Rena Alberona. It's an honor to fight together with you. Kai nodded and said, It's my pleasure. As much as I want to say many things here, I think we should get going immediately. I have told the others that I will handle this personally, so no one will bother us. She offered a suggestion which had a sweet ring in his ears. Kai agreed without hesitation. Sure, let's depart then. Rena nodded and turned to Rosalind and Sophia. It's nice to see 2 new S-rank magicians side by side. I have met both of you a few times. You both have grown up indeed. Sophia smiled and said, We last met a few months ago when Evan and I returned to the US base. Haha, indeed. Lisa often threw a fit, trying to gain Evan's attention. Anyway, I won't say anything about it and let her deal with this problem herself. In the future, she will understand whether it's just puppy love, adoration, or something else. I will support her in every choice she has. Rena shrugged. Ha ha ha, Sophia chuckled. Lisa must be happy to have a mother who will support her. Rena then turned to Rosalind. It's been a while since I last visited you. You were small back then and hid behind our knoll. That's more than 6 years ago. Rosalind tried to correct her, but Rena just laughed it off while making their way to the helicopter she prepared that would take them to Belarus. No one approached them at all, and the soldiers they met quickly saluted since all 4 of them were S-rank magicians, even though Sophia and Rosalind were not popular yet. After a few minutes' walk, Kai found a helicopter that was ready to take off any time. Rena simply pointed her finger at the helicopter, saying, "That's our helicopter. It's going to take a few hours since we can talk privately here instead of on the military airplane. Do you happen to hate helicopters?" "Nope." Kai shook his head. "I don't mind sitting for a few hours since we will only start the mission tomorrow." "Fair enough. Let's come in then." Rena entered first, followed by Kai, Sophia, and Rosalind. After that, Rena signaled them to take off. In the helicopter, Kai sat in front of Rena with a serious expression as he activated his sound insulation room and asked, "So?" Before he continued, Rena smiled and continued his words, ignoring the sound insulation magic, since she understood his reason to be cautious. "Let's talk about Felicie." Rosalind, who was like Felicie's elder sister, took a peek and tried to listen to their conversation. She just couldn't wrap her heart since it was Felicie's future they were talking about. "I have heard the reasons, so what are you planning to do? It seems this girl is a bit special to you, eh?" Rena smiled and asked, "Why are you helping her to this extent?" "She is just a girl you know for a day." Kai closed his eyes and remained silent. Before answering her question, Kai chose to ask another question first. "What are you planning about this information? You are so stiff." Rena sighed and shrugged. "Well, that's why it's hard to take advantage of you. Anyway, I won't do anything to her and will abide by my promise. I just want to know the reason to see how I should treat her." Kai took a deep breath and sighed. "Something just clicked between us. It felt like when I met my teacher, Rhea Ross. Oh, it seems geniuses indeed attract each other." She smirked and continued, "Interesting. I want to warn you that if something happens to her, I will take her by force. No one can stop me, including the Union." Kai narrowed his eyes, staring at her coldly. "She views the world differently. That's all I need. So, you are planning to take her as your student like how Rhea Ross took you in?" Kai shook his head. "I don't know yet. Everything depends on her. After all, for what reasons do I want to take in someone who doesn't want to improve?" "Fair enough." Rena nodded in agreement. "Anyway, I will take care of her to the best of my ability, without giving too much to her. I will also try to avoid the Union from knowing her. With Rosalind becoming the face of the Union, they will focus on her instead of Felice. Also, as long as no one knows about your relationship with Felice, they won't think of her as anyone special." Kai remained silent and contemplated for a moment. Rena then continued, "Well, I have satisfied my curiosity, so I won't say anything regarding this matter to avoid anyone from overhearing our conversation. Instead, let's talk about the mission. What do you want me to do specifically?" "I have 2 jobs for you, to be honest. First, you are going to hold on to your position. You should place traps after traps because this fight will be a long one, and I'm planning to take my time with it since I don't like how the Union plans to overwork me." "Aha, sounds rough," Rena chuckled, understanding Kai's reason. She herself refrained from going to the battlefield due to this. The Union kept asking her to do stuff for them, so she tried to make a political move and succeeded in becoming the guardian of the base. The Union wasn't capable of ordering her without a big reason anymore, so she could stay in the base most of the time. "I need to know the area too. But I guess I will be getting this information from the commander in charge of the area." Rena looked down and crossed her arms, contemplating what she should do to maintain their position. "Anyway, I believe your superior is Rosalind, right?" Kai nodded and looked at Rosalind. "I will be leaving all the stuff to you, boss." Rosalind was stunned as she never expected him to pull something like that. She felt embarrassed since Kai was the one leading the entire mission the whole time. In other words, she was just a stand-in figure. "So, for the second objective, I want you to separate the soldiers into 2 groups. The first will be the soldiers that can form a wall to separate Moscow and Ukraine. We can't afford the bottom side to interfere with our mission after all. Indeed, I will pay special attention to that area, so you don't need to worry about it. I guess the remaining soldiers will keep protecting the border like usual?" "Yeah. And after 3 months, you should begin moving the soldiers to the north, since it will become chaotic soon. I understand. We won't let a single magical beast go past the border. The problem will be the attacking force from Finland and Poland. Nah, it's fine. Whether they hit hard enough or not, I will try to handle all of them, so no side will collapse if they underperform. Kai shrugged. What I'm worried about is the potential protectors that will appear. Rena's face turned serious as she face-palmed, feeling a headache just by thinking about it. I have also gotten the replay from Arnold. To let the entire base know they have 2 more S-rank magicians, we plan to promote Sophia and Rosalind through this matter. If there is only one protector, you can take the glory while Sophia and Rosalind are there to help you. If there are 2 protectors, I hope you can let them take the glory for one of them while you get the other one. This can reinforce their standing and status in the EU base. Kai waved his hand as if it wasn't a big deal. That's the plan anyway. I believe Rosalind and Sophia are strong enough to handle them. Such a guarantee from the great Kai Carter, I feel relieved. Rena smiled. Anyway, I think it's a good idea to have someone backing you up in this base, and I can see in Rosalind's eyes that she is ready for everything. I wonder if she has fallen for you. Rosalind was taken aback and gently stroked her cheek. While feeling embarrassed, she answered, My feeling to him is that of adoration and gratitude. I want to repay this debt that no one can ever replicate, but I am afraid it's impossible. At the same time, I can't really abandon my duty as one of the citizens of EU base, so I can't do anything to him. What if he told me to destroy the Union? I would be in a bind. You are a good girl, aren't you, Rosalind? Rena smiled. Keep it that way and stay away from politics. It will turn you into a bad girl sooner or later. If the politic doesn't manage to do that, it will surely succeed in putting a huge burden on you, especially your mental health. Anyway, just keep fighting in the front line and retire as soon as possible. You will find your life happier. Don't forget to marry a guy and have kids. They are cute, you know. For example, how about you seduce this guy? Rosalind's eyebrows twitched and remained silent since every word that came out of her mouth would be used as a weapon against her. At the same time, Kai cut in by saying, All right, instead of a useless topic like that, let's talk about what may happen on the battlefield. Chapter 470, Kai's Strategy. As they were talking about various things, they had finally entered Belarus. Many ruined cities had entered his visions, making him wonder what kind of sight the complete city before it was ruined. The journey went peacefully, but 1 hour later, when they almost reached the border, Kai suddenly frowned and looked at Rena with a serious expression. It seems the base is under attack. What do you mean? The base is not far from here, and I don't think it's been attacked yet. I should word it better. The border is under a skirmish. Kai shook his head and asked, Do you think you can have the helicopter reach that place? Rena nodded and informed the pilot to get closer as soon as possible. They then began to fly at high speed, heading toward the battlefield. Not long after, the group had a visual of the battlefield. As Kai expected, it was awful. There were around 10,000 magical beasts, while they only had 5,000 at the moment. The magical beasts were pushing through the soldiers. Oi, seriously? Our soldiers are more capable than this. Rena frowned, wondering why they couldn't fight back even though the enemies were only twice their number. There is a lack of chain of command, Kai answered while observing the situation. It seems the soldiers have been spread out, so they can't handle it very well because they keep clashing with others. For now, let's have you become the spotlight and return to the chain of command. What do you think? Sure, Rena nodded. What do you need me to do? Of course, jump. Kai smiled as if he didn't say anything weird just now. What? Rena widened her eyes and looked below them. We are still 500 meters above the ground, you know. Kai only waved his hand, asked the pilot to halt the movement, and jumped off the helicopter. Rena widened her eyes because she wondered if Kai could fly with his sound magic, but the person kept flying like nobody else and almost reached the ground. Is he strong enough to handle the impact? No. Sophia shook her head helplessly and leaped off the helicopter. Let's go. Wait, you too. Rena dropped her jaw and tried to pull her back, but the latter was already out of reach, so she took another glimpse of Kai, finding a huge magic circle he created on the ground where he would land. Before he hit the ground, the magic circle seemed to be slowing down his fall before completely stopping it. He then stepped outside the magic circle and landed safely on the ground. Ha! To think the magic he used to play with the kids will be utilized this way. Rosalind sighed and smiled at Rena. Mom, I think we should go too. Without waiting for Rena to answer, Rosalind jumped off the helicopter since she needed to supervise Kai. Rena didn't know what to say anymore. She could only shake her head helplessly and went off the helicopter while saying, "It must be nice to be young." Rena felt the resistance and wind blowing to the sky that slowed down her fall, before slightly pushing her upward. She used that force to go slightly forward, to leave the magic circle and land on the ground safely. She looked at Kai with a weird expression before signaling the helicopter to return. After getting that signal, the helicopter then took off, leaving the four on the battlefield. Unlike the US-based soldiers, the soldiers here won't particularly like me taking charge. And it's not like they know or idolize Rosalind or Sophia. Hence, it's best for you to go there in a slightly elevated area for people to see and command them. What to command? I feel like there is a need to reinforce the middle, since they are the weakest right now. Rena asked with her view, wondering what Kai would do in this situation. If you take a closer look, the right side of the army is the strongest, to the point they begin to pummel the magical beasts in their way. That's why they need to make their way to the center before returning to their position. Oh? Rena thought Kai would be the one to relieve them, but it seemed he didn't want to make an appearance, or at least that was what she thought. And Kai broke it to her with his next words. I, Sophia, and Rosalind will charge at the enemy after that, causing a ruckus as big as possible. At that moment, have the entire army launch a counterattack. I see. So you want to use the right side to recover the entire army before making a counterattack. No wonder. If you are coming here alone to relieve them, we will need to be on the defensive. Rena admitted her loss to the kid before her. He was indeed qualified to be a general at such a young age. She cracked her fingers, getting ready to fight. All right. You can count on me. Kai nodded, and Rena disappeared, heading to the battlefield, specifically to the top of the building next to the battlefield. All soldiers, listen, Rena shouted as loud as possible. Of course, her shout didn't reach everyone's ears. Only a portion behind them could hear her voice. But those people turned around and shouted her name after getting shocked for a few seconds. It's our S-rank magician! Rena Alberona is here. Ooh! Their shouts kept echoing to the point all the soldiers noticed her and turned around to see Rena's figure. She raised her hand and pointed at the right side. I will be your commanding officer right now. We don't have time to talk, so let's end this mess first. Right side, go to the middle and make a swift sweep before returning to your position. The people on the right side blinked their eyes a few times before acknowledging her order. They then hurriedly changed their direction and hit the middle. With the pressure lifted from their shoulders, the center army quickly pushed the magical beasts back and thanked the right side for helping them. After making sure everything was fine, the right side returned to their position. Before she made another comment, Kai, Sophia, and Rosalind made their appearances on the battlefield. They came from the left side. It started with Sophia summoning a large ice block like a meteor, dropping them right on the magical beasts. They were stunned because they never saw the magic that big. On top of the ice, Sophia stood and looked down at them. I am Sophia Campbell, here to assist together with US base's famous general, Kai Carter. There is only one thing we need to do. Follow us. Sophia obviously gathered their attention since it wasn't that hard after Rena reorganized the army. Kai Carter? That Kai Carter! Many began to question them, but since they were in the military, they obviously knew the rising star that became the center of the world, Kai Carter. And she said that person was in this place? Before they commented anything, they suddenly heard a ruckus and saw a few magical beasts flying in the air. The commotion moved so fast as if there was no one stopping them. Some of them managed to see Kai and another person between the magical beasts and began to shout, saying it was true and following Kai to help. Oh! Kai then manipulated them to eliminate all the magical beasts on the left side while sending that excitement to the center or even the further right. The soldiers tried to follow Kai and Rosalind and realized how different they were from them. Although Kai was good, Rosalind managed to keep up with him while Sophia kept helping them from above. The formation soon turned into an L shape, and everyone could see that they were ready to swipe the entire battlefield. Rena just watched everything resolved in the back, trying to figure out how Kai thought about something like this. It was not a conventional method in the military, since his strategy relied heavily on two things: the army morale and his strength. He used his strength to ensure everything and increased the army morale, resulting in them giving 100%, if not 120%, to fight together with him. This allowed him to overturn the situation. So, this is Kai Carter's. Rena contemplated for a moment before realizing the most important factor in this type of strategy. His ears, no way. His ears are capable of listening to all kinds of sounds on this battlefield, and he is utilizing his ears to listen to the soldiers' conditions, their morale, the enemy's movement, and how the battlefield moves. Only after understanding everything, he instantly adjusts his plan and creates a new one. This Rena sucked a cold breath. Is he really a human? Kai wasn't aware of her thoughts and continued with the battle, sweeping everything clean. After getting their enemies killed, the central area moved forward and helped Kai kill the remaining magical beasts. They never thought it was this easy to fight the magical beasts. They couldn't help but cheer for Kai, even though he was a commander from another base. This just showed his competence. But only Rena and a few other soldiers actually realized Kai, Rosalie, and Sophia had left the battlefield as soon as they finished their battle. Kai had already brought a few supplies with them anyway, so they could easily disappear from the battlefield. Rena looked at them running to the northeast with Kai waving his hand, telling her it was her turn to rearrange the soldiers. She could only sigh in defeat while shouting, "All right, all of you, listen to me." Chapter 471. Their New Power. After leaving the battlefield, Kai and the girls entered deeper into Moscow. While running and killing the magical beasts in their way, Sophia came to him and asked, "Kai, what are we planning to do? I mean, the schedule." Kai contemplated for a moment and said, "Since we have 3 weeks here, we will stay in one location for 2 days before reaching another location to search for the next intelligent beast. From what I can see, they are aligned with each other, making it easier for us to go to them in succession. In other words, after dealing with this place, we don't need to have a long discussion before going there, since they are pretty much arranged by them to lure us." Inside, Sophia nodded in understanding while Rosalind asked, "Then, do you think we should bite this bait? I mean, shouldn't we make another plan because we don't know whether we are strong enough or not?" Kai also thought about it, but he decided to go for it, for 2 reasons. First, this would be a good measurement to see how strong Rosalind and Sophia are after the special training. Secondly, Arba told him that he had yet to master all his power, since he might grow to an even more terrifying level in the future. So, he wanted to see his current power and limit to look forward to the things he could possibly achieve in the near future. "It's fine. I have made a few countermeasures if things go south." Kai waved his hand, trying to assure them that everything was going to be all right. Sophia trusted him and said no more, while Rosalind needed to ask one more question. "What is the probability of success?" "I am not sure, but if I need to say it, I will say 60% to 70%. "I understand." Rosalind nodded and chose to trust him as well. They continued to go deeper and deeper, according to the map Rosalind gave him yesterday. Not long after, they found the intelligent magical beast that had been controlling all the others. It was an ape. Its fur was red, and his fist was covered in fire. No one needed to discern his element again, since it was so obvious. Rosalind thought for a moment and asked, "May I use this opportunity to check my strength?" No, I am the one who is going to defeat the ape." Sophia furrowed her eyebrows, arguing with her. Kai simply shook his head and said, "You two go. I will be handling all the beasts in our surroundings. I don't care if you can't work together as long as you don't stand in each other's way. That's all." "Well, it's not like I hate working with her." Rosalind tried to correct him, but Kai already disappeared into the surroundings. It was true, though. Rosalind and Sophia had been together for 3 months, and they didn't hate each other anymore. This time, they just wanted to test it first, because they knew no one could test their strength if the 8 needed to fight the 2 girls together. Some people might even consider this as a way for each girl to respect their rival. Since Kai wanted them to cooperate, they exchanged looks and nodded. There was an agreement between them without even saying a single word. Sophia went to the left while Rosalind went to the right. Their path curved, so the 8 vision had a visual of them in both corners of his eyes. If he tried to see Rosalind, Sophia would disappear from his vision, and the same applied to Sophia. Due to the restriction of his vision, the ape decided to go to Rosalind because she summoned her exoskeleton in her back, making her feel more dangerous. Rosalind smirked and raised her sword, summoning her wind magic. The control of her magic was so smooth as she formed a small wind sphere on top of her sword. It was none other than her compressed wind, one of the new things she devised in Emeldan Kalan. The ape continued getting closer and closer without any fear. Before reaching her range, the ape opened its mouth and released a breath of fire. Rosalind narrowed her eyes since her compressed fire would explode if it hit the small sphere. Sophia already knew the predicament and came from behind while summoning a magic circle. Freezing world. The moment she used that magic, the ground and anything above it in front of her froze in a fan-shaped area. This meant the back of the ape, the ground, and ultimately the flame. It quickly froze and turned the fire into an empty ice shell. "I got you," Sophia smiled and gave a thumbs up. "Thanks." Rosalind smiled back and saw that the fire that covered the ape's fists had disappeared as well. The ape widened his eyes in confusion, but Rosalind took another leap to cover their distance and stabbed the sword into his chest. The compressed wind burst before the sword even hit his chest, creating a small dent on his skin as if the bone behind it was crushed. At the same time, the ape was blown away in Sophia's direction. Another blue magic circle appeared on Sophia's hand as she pointed it to the ape. Ice Dragon, a huge dragon head, whose size was almost 3 times of the ape, emerged from the magic circle and swallowed him as a whole. The ape was caught between teeth, so her blue ice turned red in a mere few seconds. She didn't use it for too long and spat what it had swallowed to the ground. The ape was rolling on the ground, but everyone could see 10 holes on the ape's body, stretching from his right shoulder to his left waist. Rosalind stepped forward without sympathy and severed the ape's head before it could regain its balance. "It's over. To think we can kill an intelligent beast this easy." Rosalind was impressed by their change. "Let's talk about it later. We should help Kai to suppress the magical beasts in our surroundings." Sophia waved her hands since she had experienced power-ups a few times when she was with Kai, so this kind of change was still within her limit. Rosalind nodded in agreement and followed her, moving around the area to kill as many as possible. When the night came, there were 2 sea magical beasts talking to each other on the land as if they didn't need any water to breathe. The first one had a fish face with a large mouth and sharp teeth. It might even tear a human body in a single bite. The fish's skin was dark green, and its hand held a sword. His height was 3 meters, not that different from a human, but his body was buff. Still, the most noticeable thing from him was the small antenna above his head that curved to the front, carrying a small bulb on the end of the antenna. Yes, he was an anglerfish. The anglerfish looked at his partner for this mission. His partner had a small head, despite his huge body, that could be compared to the anglerfish. In his hand were 2 giant shields with straight patterns from top to bottom. "Oi, clam!" the anglerfish called him while making a serious expression. "You should stop calling me by that name." The clam narrowed his eyes and slightly bumped his shoulder with the shield on his hand. The shield itself was a feature of his body, so no one could take it off his hands. Fine. Anyway, I have gotten the information that everything is going well. Kai Carter has entered our trap and will arrive in front of us within a few days. For now, we will be waiting for him until he is far enough from Belarus to avoid any reinforcement. In other words, we will be manipulating the magical beasts around us to attack him. Although the land beasts instinctively don't like us, we should still be able to work it out somehow. Besides, he's only going to this place with 2 other girls instead of his full team. There is no way they can contend with one of us. That's why this is the biggest opportunity for us to kill them, hacker. The anglerfish smiled as all the waiting they got finally paid off. After receiving the news that Kai would be visiting the EU base, the mermaid princess had asked them to kill him somehow. Unfortunately, not a single plan could work because Arnaud kept everything in check. Kai was said to get a power-up that made him a bit too confident, so they thought it would be the right time to utilize their spy and influence the other Union members to force Kai to accept their mission to this place. They managed to succeed and left him with only 2 girls of the same age. No one at his age would be able to follow Kai's footsteps other than his group, so they thought their success would be pretty much in the bag as long as they didn't alarm Kai, making him turn back. The clam hacker thought for a moment before nodding in agreement. That's good enough. I will be handling Kai Carter while you deal with the girls, Yuba. What? I want to defeat Kai Carter with my own hands. Sea Anglerfish furrowed his eyebrows and complained. I don't like your decision. Do you think I'm joking? The clown looked at him with a serious expression. Yes, you are. The two wanted the opportunity to kill Kai so they would be famous in their place. After a while, the clown finally made a compromise. How about this? We will use the remaining days here to decide who is going to fight Kai Carter and who is the one handling the girls. Sounds right to me. The usual? The clown nodded as they began fighting for their own fight. Chapter 472 Appearance Kai and the two girls began to kill all the magical beasts in the perimeter without any problem. The magical beasts started going into disarray as soon as Sophia defeated the ape anyway, so there wouldn't be a need for Kai to control them and order them to leave. According to Kai, not many magical beasts would go to Belarus after their leaders died. In fact, the majority of the beasts returned to their nest, which was deep inside Moscow. Kai already ordered the two girls not to chase them. Their mission was to kill the magical beasts to buy time for the army to retake all three countries. And Kai didn't plan to do more than that. Rosalind felt a bit sad that there would be potential harm that those beasts might cause, but since she had gotten stronger, she had confidence in dealing with them in the future. Kai then led the group to take on the next few magical beasts according to their schedule. As one would expect from these Elite Three, they managed to complete their objective within a day. The intelligent beast never stood a chance and died in an instant, while over 5,000 magical beasts died under the onslaught of 3 people. And they didn't even work that hard. Kai used those days to rest while learning more about Union from Rosalind. He even visited some of the attractions in Moscow, albeit the ones that were close to them. After 2 weeks, Kai arrived in the 7th Intelligent Beasts territory. This was when strange things started to happen. Kai quickly understood that this beast had abnormally prepared his attack as if he could see the future. Even Kai asked the two girls to proceed with caution. Yet, the battle ended with so much disappointment. The beast couldn't even hold a candle on them, and all his followers fled back to Moscow. Suddenly, Kai found something that made him perplexed. He stopped for a second and closed his eyes, listening to the surroundings. This caused confusion to Sophia and Rosalind, wondering if something went wrong. Kai didn't explain anything and just listened to the sudden difference in movement. The magical beasts in the area suddenly stopped and gathered in an orderly manner. At the same time, he found that the magical beasts seemed to be approaching from outside his hearing range. Their movements were simply unrealistic, unless they had another one commanding them. In other words, there might be another intelligent beast that suddenly came to their place. But for what? After killing the 7th magical beast, he understood that these intelligent ones didn't want to go to their opponent directly, so they kept lazing around their territory like how they were ordered to. Kai didn't want to talk to them and killed them to prevent any confusion if the Union read his report. The moment they knew Kai had gone in his way toward the full-fledged protector, they would send all their armies to kill him first. With this sort of limitation, he needed to see what kind of situation he was facing. Suddenly, a few roars came to his ears. Now that he learned their language, he could finally understand what they were saying. Move, move, we are going to prepare the best stage for those bastards. If we don't weaken these guys, those bastards will kill all of us. Kai's eyebrows twitched, knowing that the magical beasts were threatened by them. He remembered when he first visited the underground nest and met a protector. At that time, the beasts followed their order. So Kai wondered if those beasts actually got oppressed as well. Facing this problem, he didn't know whether to kill them or send them away. After all, whether humans or magical beasts, no one wanted to die. He thought for a moment and sighed. Either way, I can't afford to let a clue slip by that will mess the grand plan up for a few magical beasts whose name I don't know. Kai. Sophia called his name when he opened his mouth. Kai eventually opened his eyes and found their worried expressions. Kai simply smiled and assured them, "Don't worry, I can handle this. I'm afraid we will fight against the protectors right now." Sophia furrowed her eyebrows and looked at Rosalind. "Are you ready?" "Yes." Rosalind nodded with a serious expression. "There are 3 intelligent magical beasts coming to us. Hence, I want to eliminate them first so they can't disturb us." The two nodded as Rosalind asked, "What are we going to do?" Kai pointed his finger at their right. One of them is in this direction. You will find a wolf there. He then turned to a different direction and said, this direction has a bear. I will handle the last one. After killing it, we will return to this place to regroup. Roslyn nodded and walked in the wolf's direction. I will be going this way then. Sophia shrugged and chose the last spot and planned to handle the bear. Other than S-rank magical beasts, he doubted they had a chance against them anyway, so it didn't matter who they needed to fight. Go! The moment Kai's shout echoed in their ears, all three of them disappeared, carrying their own missions. Kai quickly made his way to the last opponent, a deer. When he showed up, the deer got flustered to see someone manage to appear out of his prediction. His horn began to be covered by lightning, but Kai used his sound blast to arrive right before the deer's eyes. The deer shot the lightning, but Kai had predicted it. He wanted to test his new strength but realized the deer wasn't worth it. Instead, he slashed the deer's neck in one stroke with his supersonic sword, killing the deer in an instant. Unfortunately for him, there was another problem he needed to face. He halted his steps despite being surrounded by angry magical beasts. However, Kai didn't even do anything because they knew Kai was too powerful to them and their leader had died too. Before he could send them away, Kai furrowed his eyebrows when he felt two presences coming in his direction at a speed he had never seen before. Without a doubt, they were the ones Kai had been waiting for. Kai didn't say anything and waited for them to arrive while looking at his front. When the two figures, the clam and the anglerfish, came into his vision, Kai raised his sword and smiled. Took you too long enough. Keki, you are still trying to act strong. The anglerfish chuckled and raised the sword in his hand. I'm going to chop you into pieces right now. Do you think you are capable of killing me? Instead of fighting, I'm more curious since, when have you plotted something like this? From the way I see it, someone must have prepared this kind of plan to the point you would need to infiltrate the Union. Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at the anglerfish to antagonize him since he looked to be dumber. As one would expect from the anglerfish, he quickly shouted without any thoughts. You! How did you know? We had done it so secretly that no one would have suspected it. Kai smiled since he already got the confirmation. All he needed to do was to buy time for Roslyn and Sophia to finish so they could help him. You should see your formation again. I thought you were going to ambush me in the next spot, but it seemed I was wrong. The anglerfish gritted his teeth. It was supposed to be the plan, but Kai took his sweet time to reach them. Unwilling to waste any more time, the anglerfish suggested approaching Kai instead of waiting. It wasn't like there were any traps they prepared other than themselves. After careful consideration, the clam understood his intention and agreed with this notion. It obviously brought happiness to his partner. The anglerfish quickly summoned the remaining magical beasts around them to gather and go together with them. Even though they were unwilling, the intelligent beasts didn't have any strength to protect themselves against these two people, so they complied and headed to Kai ahead of them. Feeling that there was something wrong with the beasts, the two quickly made their way toward the killing zone where Kai had positioned himself to receive them. It was then the clam started to think about what happened and why Kai would arrive before them without getting late. His thoughts began to wander around as he couldn't care less about the information his partner blurted out, knowing Kai would just be a dead person after this. He gathered all kinds of evidence he could find in his surroundings and found that the beasts that followed the deer had yet to die. In fact, not a single beast had died yet. Doubt started filling his heart as he remembered the past. Kai would need a few hits to kill an intelligent beast. Within that time, the monsters should have attacked him, and a few should have died. The clam felt they needed to finish Kai as quickly as possible when he saw the wound on the deer's body. It was one clean strike, meaning Kai must have done something so powerful that the deer couldn't even protect itself for even a second, to the point that no other beasts could react. He is buying time. The clam realized what was going on and Kai's plan. It seemed they had underestimated Kai Carter's improvement, so the clam raised his shield and said, "We need to hurry to kill him." Kai simply smiled and raised both swords. "If you're that confident with your restricted ability on land, then try it." Chapter 473. New Fighting Style. The anglerfish jumped forward and slashed his sword. Kai took another look at the sword and realized it wasn't a normal sword. He further confirmed it by striking the sword with his supersonic sword, which didn't even leave a single scratch. He narrowed his eyes and said, I see. Someone's skin, huh? The anglerfish didn't say anything, but that smug smile of his already told him pretty much the answer. Before he released another sword, the clam charged at him with his shield in front. He planned to ram him so the anglerfish could slash him. Kai took a deep breath, raised his sword, and waited for the clam to arrive. This obviously grabbed their attention as they raised their vision, leaving a blind spot coming from below. It was at this time Kai raised his left foot and kicked the clam's shield, or more likely its shell, with all his might. On his boot were two magic circles. The first magic circle was below his shoes, where it generated the power, while the other one was covering his shoes to direct the sound wave to go to a certain area he designated. This was the result of his training in the Amulda Kalan. He named this magic as Echo Thruster. Despite his naming sense, the power was a real deal. The generated sonic boom released all its might straight to the shield. A shock wave flew out of the clam's body, as if the sound wave just went through his body. Even the clam couldn't help but scream when his hand felt the excruciating pain inflicted by the sound wave before he got launched several meters away. Gwa! Oi! Hatka! The anglerfish's body shuddered as he turned around to see his teammate. Unfortunately for him, an action like this wasn't something Kai would pass on. He used his second sword to strike the anglerfish's blade from above until the anglerfish's sword stuck in the ground. Not good. The anglerfish widened his eyes and saw Kai raise his other sword to strike him. When Kai struck his body, the blade only cracked a bit of the anglerfish's hard skin. I worried for nothing, huh? The anglerfish smirked, knowing Kai wouldn't be able to kill him in one stroke. However, a magic circle appeared on Kai's handle as the sword vibrated once more, creating a loud ringing sound. Sonokinetic blade. Ding! In that instant, Kai's sword continued on its path, sliding on the anglerfish's body before the anglerfish suddenly flew away. Gwa! Just like the clam, the anglerfish felt extreme pain on his chest before he saw his hard skin was cracked, and some even started bleeding. At the same time, Kai's attack actually released a kind of crescent-shaped sword wave that launched him into the air. He realized Kai managed to trap his own sound wave and form this crescent-shaped energy that looked like it was surrounded by the wind. But this sharp sound wave was none other than his sonic boom. He simply directed the sonic boom forward. Trees upon trees fell down as the anglerfish's body destroyed their trunks on its way. He continued to fly for 2 seconds before falling down to the ground, rolling a few times until he stopped. Kai smiled and looked at their conditions. If this were him from the past, he wouldn't be able to fight against these two at all. He would only be suppressed while searching for a way to escape. This would also lead Rosalind and Sophia into danger, so he was glad he managed to learn many things from Arbor. Kai smiled and took a deep breath, feeling a bit restless since he hadn't gotten used to controlling the direction of his sound wave. It took a toll on his mind, so he planned to end this fight quickly. What just happened? The clam rose from the ground and looked at Kai, who seemed to be able to repel them. No, they were the ones who couldn't stand against him. You! What did you do? The anglerfish, Yuba, stood up and roared, coming to him with a serious expression. Although the damage was only on his physical body, it was still shocking for Kai to defeat them in one exchange. After fighting you all for so long, don't you think it's time for me to step up my game and beat you this time? I can't afford to lose continuously or rely on my teammates when your ability is restricted on the land after all. Kai smirked and pointed his swords at them. Now, let's see what you guys have to offer. I alone am enough to defeat you. The anglerfish gritted his teeth and jumped forward, thinking he had underestimated Kai earlier. As long as he was careful, there was no way Kai would be able to defeat him. I will let you know our real strength. Yuba ran to Kai with his sword leading, planning to thrust him. However, Hatka shouted in shock because he could see it from his position. Yuba, watch out! Yuba widened his eyes and turned to the left, finding Rosalind coming to him. She swung her sword at Yuba's sword to stop him. Yuba obviously didn't care about her since her attack would probably be lighter than Kai. And yes, he was right. Her power couldn't be compared to Kai, but it was different when 8 metal spider legs emerged from the small machinery on her back. 4 of the legs stabbed the ground, while the other 4 grabbed Yuba's body. When their swords clashed, the 4 legs on the ground stabilized and pulled to gather more power from the ground to stop him, while the other legs tried to launch him backward. This way, Rosalind managed to stop Yuba's momentum in one move. Suddenly, another presence emerged behind his back. It was none other than Sophia. She placed her hand on Yuba's back and summoned a magic circle. Circulation, ice magic, splash. Ice crystals emerged from his chest and he got pushed forward again. After stopping him, Rosalind had gained a bit of distance from him, so she ran forward and struck his body as she passed him. Authority blade. The wind that covered her blade burst out and tried to open the crack Kai left behind, and some spots even started to bleed. However, Rosalind dropped to her knees as she spat a mouthful of blood. Gah! Ha ha! I am someone from the deepest part of the sea. Do you think your ice is cold enough for me? He laughed before turning around and spinning his elbow to hit Sophia on the face. Seeing this, Sophia raised her hand and activated her exoskeleton to repel that arm. Unfortunately for her, Yuba's power was too strong for her to handle, and she ended up getting launched to a nearby tree. Still, as one would expect from the stronger Sophia and Rosalind, Yuba needed to fall to the ground too because of their damage. Ka. What is this wound? He thought Rosalind's attack didn't connect, but when he saw blood coming out of his body, he had another perspective. To wipe the blood, he used his hand to cover the wound first, but he soon realized his hand felt numb before finding another ice crystal. He just realized what the two women were doing and thought, did she purposely let me hit her to attack me with this kind of technique? After observing the development, Kai leaped to Yuba to deal with him, but Hatka quickly appeared before him. You're not going anywhere, shouted Hatka while raising his two shields. Before Kai did anything, the clam changed its color. Magic! Kai narrowed his eyes. The clam turned his body as well as the shield into a glistening surface. The color was black with some white that seemed to be light that reflected on the metallic black surface. Pearl! Kai immediately realized that clams produce pearls. Although it was only for a few species, it was enough for him to understand where his power came from. Atka smirked and ran forward, trying to ram Kai with that huge shield. I am far stronger right now. Let's see whether you can destroy my defense. You talk too much. Kai snorted and struck the shield with both swords. Sonokinetic blade. The swords vibrated at the same time and created a cross-crescent-shaped sound wave that pushed Hatka several meters back. Hatka was still showing his smirk as he tried to fight this violent power that knew no bounds. He said, no wonder you can launch Yuba that far. Unfortunately for you, this is not enough to destroy me. Hatka pushed the sound wave back until it dispersed. Hatka wanted to say something after destroying Kai's attack, but Kai himself had appeared in front of him and sent another kick to him, using the same magic. Sound amplification. Kai used all his strength into this kick and launched him far away. He simply couldn't contain that kick since he barely destroyed Kai's sound wave. Ka! Hatka gritted his teeth, landed on the ground safely, and looked at Kai with a hateful expression. He seemed to be angry that Kai stopped him earlier since he had bragged about his good defense. At the same time, Yuba couldn't do anything since Sophia and Rosalind locked him in that position, not allowing him to escape or help Hatka. You are still far weaker than that turtle I have seen. Kai shook his head in disappointment and pointed his blade at Hatka. I may be enough to kill both of you, but I by no means plan to do it, so I hope you can fight me for a bit longer. Chapter 474. Switch, talk big. Hatka gritted his teeth and tried to ram him again. This time, he didn't plan to get Kai to pounce him away using that same technique. He had recognized Kai's new technique and skills that seemed to be different from the rumors. After acknowledging it, what he needed to do was to adapt to that kind of power and fight him again. When Hatka was about to reach Kai, the latter already swung his blade to stop him. Hatka didn't panic and stopped Kai's sword without a problem, since Kai's normal supersonic sword wouldn't be able to cut his shield. Kai narrowed his eyes and used the magic again, but before he could launch it, Hatka spun his body to avoid his attack. Kai widened his eyes and raised his second sword, but Hatka had an advantageous position and rammed his shield, blowing Kai several meters away. Hatka took a deep breath and smiled. Don't think you have won, Kai Carter. You're just a mere human. Kai squinted his eyes. Now that he wasn't clueless anymore about his identity as the race protector, as well as his role, he saw the world, especially these guys, differently. Hatka and Yuba were supposed to know about his identity, so he wondered whether they acted like they didn't know or had been banned from saying so. If it was the former, they might slip up at one point. Still, with this useless thought, the fight went on. Kai charged at him and struck his shield again from the air. Before he slammed him with the second shield, Kai used his sound blast to launch him to the opposite side before hitting him. Hatka already felt it coming and raised his second shield to the back. Although he lost the force of the swing, he managed to stop Kai's strike completely, and he even made it look effortless, as if he planned to taunt Kai. With how prepared Hatka fought against Kai, the winner of the previous bet among him and Yuba was probably him. Kai didn't know this, and expected he managed to separate the two. The two techniques, Sonokinetic Blade and Echo Thruster, I've mastered seemed to show a great effect to these guys. Kai squinted his eyes, feeling happy that the 3 months he spent there brought him so many things. Hatka felt Kai planned to do something, so he rushed forward with his shield in the front. Kai kicked the glistening shield, but Hatka quickly reinforced his stepping to make sure the kick didn't blow him away. Yet, Kai didn't even use his magic and used Hatka's shield to leap to the air, confusing him. Huh? Hatka furrowed his eyebrows and raised his vision. He halted his steps after pushing him, but he didn't realize everything was a trap. Kai smiled and raised his finger. Activate. Hatka felt the fluctuation of magic power beneath his feet and lowered his head, finding a huge green magic circle beneath his feet. This is the reason he didn't do anything. Before Hatka could do anything, the magic circle already shot him into the air like Kai. How do you like my magic? Kai smiled, showing off that his sound blast magic was able to launch him to the air. Hatka snorted and protected his body with his shields since the air wasn't his forte. Since they were still floating, Kai smiled and used his sound blast to launch himself to Hatka. The latter tried to stop him by pushing his shield, but Kai used his sound blast again to avoid it, going around Hatka. Hatka lost his balance due to his lack of experience. A clam like him was rarely fought on the land, let alone in the air. He simply didn't know how to move his body and slipped, giving Kai a big opportunity. Kai smirked and used this chance to strike his back with his sword. Sonokinetic Blade. The sound wave formed a crescent-shaped attack and pushed him to the ground. Bam! The man gritted his teeth as blood began to flow out of his mouth. On his back was a giant crack Kai inflicted earlier. Kai didn't let this go and used his sound blast to go to Hatka and strike him again, but the latter rolled his body and used his shield to stop. Kai, bam! A crater appeared beneath his body, but Hatka remained strong as he looked at Kai. I see. It seems your power will work against me, as much as I hate to do this, but... Hatka took a deep breath and shouted, Yuba, we will switch. A few minutes ago, Yuba, who just got surrounded by the two girls, snorted. You two just managed to ambush me. Don't think you have the ability to kill me. You talk too much. Sophia snorted and raised both hands, since she basically never wielded a weapon. Her circulation ice magic was based on this weakness, and she used it to cover it. Sophia stepped forward as a magic circle appeared in front of her. She pushed that magic circle as hard as she could until her hand touched it. Circulation, ice magic, drill. A huge pointed drill emerged from the magic circle and tried to create a hole in Yuba's body. Seeing this kind of attack, Yuba raised his sword and deflected the drill to the left before his strength bent the drill. Rosalind also used this opportunity to close their distance as she waved her sword. However, Yuba managed to read her movement and jumped sideward to avoid her. Rosalind didn't let him go and followed him, but Yuba turned out using that movement just to fake his real intention. Despite going sideward, Yuba's body still faced backward, meaning he would have met Rosalind face to face if she followed him. And with Rosalind doing exactly what he was hoping for, Yuba raised his sword and thrust his sword. Rosalind clenched her teeth and barely reacted to it as she used all 8 legs to block it. The light bulb on his head suddenly shone brightly, blinding Rosalind. Even she needed to close her eyes because it hurt. Yuba used this chance to keep pushing his slash forward until Sophia appeared next to them and raised her hand. Circulation ice magic. Hammer. She summoned a giant hammer and swung it down, planning to strike that sword to destroy it. Even Yuba felt a bit pressured because he didn't know whether it would break or not, so he pushed Rosalind back while pulling his sword. The two then leaped off to avoid the hammer that somehow created cracks on the ground. It's been a while since I fought against another swordswoman. I feel like I will be enjoying this. Yuba smirked as he looked at the remaining 6 legs, which he failed to cut earlier. It's a shame that I won't be able to fight that Kai Carter, but I guess you will do. Rosalind still tried to recover her eyes before smiling. You think? Suddenly, he felt pain in his chest again before he lowered his head, finding another wound on the existing physical injuries. He then realized Rosalind actually used those legs to protect her body while she continued her attack. The moment Sophia separated them, it became the best time to hit him. He looked at Rosalind and smiled. Interesting. Unfortunately for both of them, when Yuba was about to fight Rosalind again, Hatker's voice resounded. Yuba, we will switch. Chapter 475. Kill Yuba fell silent and decided to come over to help him because Kai would be too dangerous to be left alone. I have told you that I should be the one fighting him, and now you've ruined my excitement from fighting these 2 girls. Despite his complaints, he still arrived in front of Kai while pointing his blade at him. I have made you wait. Kai didn't waste his time with this guy and attacked him. Shh! Yuba clicked his tongue and struck his blade. Kai tried to slash him with his swords, but Yuba skillfully blocked all of them. It's not going to work anymore. The first one worked because you surprised me. Kai maintained his poker face and realized these guys were indeed stronger than the ones he had met. He took a deep breath and turned serious. Something is weird, Yuba muttered, before he instinctively raised his sword. Finding Kai disappeared, he followed Kai's movement and struck him, who happened to attack him from the left. Blood dripped from his hand and entered the blade before a huge shockwave shook them. Huh! Yuba drew a gasp as he realized Kai's strength just increased. He used his own blood to reinforce the blade, and somehow neutralized Kai's power. Kai understood that Yuba seemed to be stronger than the clam, and leaped backward to gain a bit of distance. He thought, I used my sonokinetic blade earlier, but why didn't it go? At the same time, Yuba also narrowed his eyes and thought, I'm among the top 10 in the power ranking, yet this guy can neutralize my attack. I've used my blood instinctively to increase my blade power. But this guy's attack is that powerful. Unlike the clam, whose magic was able to turn himself into a pearl, the anglerfish had an extraordinary ability called blood magic. This magic allowed him to use his own blood to reinforce everything, but the more he used it, the weaker he became due to the blood loss. Even so, it should give him a ridiculous amount of power. Not daring to claim that Kai's attack was stronger, he charged forward and infused a bit of his blood again, hitting Kai from above. Kai narrowed his eyes and deflected the blade with both swords to the side as the blood flew out of the sword, slicing all the trees and monsters in a fan-shaped area. The range reached at least 50 meters, making it look extremely powerful. Huh? Yuba widened his eyes, wondering why his blood magic didn't work against him. Little did he know, Kai used his supersonic sword to keep vibrating that the energy on his sword became unstable. He could only use it right now due to the ability to direct his sound wave and vibration. There were many concepts that interested him too, but he could only walk one step at a time. The two continued to clash as Kai kept deflecting his sword, letting him waste his blood. Even Kai could hear the gradual decrease of friction inside his body. His face became pale, and his heart seemed to get weaker the more he used this attack. Knowing that it would be bad to fight Kai in this situation, he decided to use his trump card. He slammed his sword against him with all his strength to lock him in that position. Light! The light bulb on his head shone brightly, blinding Kai. Yuba struck him, but Kai's supersonic sword hit his hand and antenna instead. What? Yuba widened his eyes and saw Kai move with his eyes closed. Kai smiled and used his sonokinetic blade to cut his hand and armor while saying, Even if I'm blind, I won't have any problem moving around. Yuba clenched his teeth, wondering how far Kai understood his ears. Little did he know when Kai practiced with Arba, the latter always asked him to wear a blindfold to increase the sharpness of his ears, allowing him to operate even without eyes. Even though Kai could do it, his level was only at the basic movements, not a real fight like this. And that created a chance for Kai to exploit as he finally cut Yuba's hand. Yuba grabbed the flying sword and struck Kai with all his might, pushing him several meters back. Don't think I'm done here. Kai smiled and said, No one said that. The two continued their clash. Just like Kai versus Yuba, the two girls also struggled to fight against Hatka. It was a new opponent, so they needed to adapt fast. Rosalind charged forward and struck the shield as hard as possible, but Hatka didn't even flinch, let alone get pushed back. Hatka smiled because these two girls seemed to be easier than Kai Kata. As he said earlier, Kai's power seemed far more effective against him than these two girls. Sophia went around him with a magic circle rotating in his hand. Circulation, ice magic, drill. The same ice drill emerged from the magic circle and hit Hatka's shield, but the latter simply made his shield face upward. With that hardness of his shield, the drill had no other way than going up before snapping. This is starting to get annoying. Sophia furrowed her eyebrows, wondering what she could do in this situation. Rosalind also started thinking about it, but no one had an idea. However, Sophia came to a realization after she hit the shield with her hand. She almost forgot why she didn't dare to fight the enemy with her hands due to the sharp sword. Fortunately for her, the enemy only had shields. He needed to crush her or slam her to death, or else he wouldn't be able to kill her. She gently tapped the shield and summoned a magic circle. Circulation, ice magic, splash. The ice magic bypassed the shield as ice crystals appeared behind the shield and froze his hand. Ah! Hatka widened his eyes as his hand felt numb. He could still use them, but the power would get weaker. Sophia smirked and shouted, "Rosalind, stop this guy for me. I will be able to weaken him. After that, we will kill this guy." Rosalind nodded and used all her 6 legs to grab the top of the shield before launching herself into the air. Authority blade. Hatka clenched his teeth and forcefully raised his shield to block her, but the wind that appeared and covered her blade burst, pushing him to the ground until it cracked and buried his foot. Sophia took advantage of this chance and went around Hatka, specifically to behind him. Circulation, ice magic, splash. Hatka managed to react by spinning his shield to stop her attack, but the ice crystals that appeared behind his shield inflicted another damage on his hand again before. He suddenly dropped to the ground and spat a mouthful of blood. Wah! Hatka widened his eyes because he realized Sophia's real aim. "You, my back," Sophia smirked and said, "That's right. My aims are your hand and the crack on your back." Using those ice crystals, she let her ice magic hit the crack on the back and inflicted more damage to his internal body. "Try this then." Sophia didn't want him to recover, so she went around him and came to his front with a magic circle in her hand. Circulation, ice magic, drill. Chapter 476, Clear Circulation, Ice Magic, Drill. The drill emerged from the magic circle and pierced Hatka's body. Hatka dropped to his knees and spat a mouthful of blood, his eyes widening as he looked at the girl. He never expected someone could defeat him this easily, especially someone who wasn't even a protector like Kai. Kai! Hatka gritted his teeth and circulated his magic power through his body, turning his wound into a pearl. The blood dripping from the hole suddenly stopped, as if something had just sealed the wound. Hatka roared as loudly as possible, ordering the remaining beasts to kill the two girls. The beasts began to roar in return, responding to Hatka's call. Sophia furrowed her eyebrows and knew things would soon become more complicated. However, this action turned out to be the deciding factor for Kai to determine whether they had a reinforcement or not. After all, calling monsters as their reinforcement just showed they didn't have any more backup to help them in this kind of situation. Hence, another roar resounded on the battlefield. Hatka and Yuba dropped their jaws because they never expected Kai could use that language as well. You. Hatka looked at Kai with eyes wide open. He couldn't believe what just happened, especially since they had information about Kai. How can you understand another race's language? Have you understood your identity? Sophia and Rosalind didn't say anything, even though they were curious. Their memory had been removed, but the lingering feeling in their heart told them Kai wasn't something they needed to suspect. Although they didn't understand it, they knew the feeling had been true this whole time. They might need to ask him to see his response, but they needed to focus on this battle first. Rosalind stepped on the shield and raised her sword. Authority blade. She once again struck the shield with all her might and cracked the ground again, turning it into a small crater. Surprisingly, the shield also cracked after the continuous attack from Kai and Rosalind. Kah! Hatka clenched his teeth and shouted, Yuba! You need to leave right now and inform the princess and our king. We will need to destroy humanity as soon as possible. Yuba gritted his teeth. Not a single word came out of his mouth. He simply didn't have that option because Kai had been overpowering him this whole time. He didn't have the time to let go of Kai and went somewhere. You are saying something interesting. Sophia's eyes turned cold as she formed another magic circle. Destroy humanity? I don't think you're qualified to do that. Circulation ice magic, ice dragon. A dragon head came out of the magic circle and opened its mouth. Hatka tried to protect his body with his shield, but the dragon's mouth was bigger than him. It bit Hatka from two sides. The first side was blocked by his shield, but the other side was empty because Rosalind took care of the second shield, resulting in 3 holes in his body. This magic. No, I should say, this is mystic. No wonder I should have realized it before it's too late. Hatka gritted his teeth and realized Sophia's magic. This was indeed something that wasn't stated in the report, and their report was 3 months old because Kai and the others went to the battlefield as soon as they appeared, hearing only about their improvement. He looked at Sophia with blood covering his mouth. That training must be related to those guys. No, should I say you have met those people? Sophia and Rosalind didn't understand his words, but they got a gist of it from the missing part of their memory. It must be due to those people's interference, and since Kai had authorized it, he must have a good reason. Sophia could attest to it because Kai loved his family so much. Even though she was the most recent girlfriend, Kai never gave any different treatment. That was why she understood the importance of this mission would be to eliminate those people. Sophia raised her hand and summoned another dragon, but the pressure from Rosalind finally stopped as Hatka instinctively used both shields to stop the dragon from biting him. However, Rosalind was free at this moment, appearing behind Hatka with her sword. Shh! You humanity won't win against us, not thousands of years ago, and not in the present, Hatka roared. Rosalind then waved her blade, slicing his neck. Winsent blade! Hatka's head flew to the sky after getting sliced by Rosalind. On the other hand, Yuba seemed to be struggling against Kai, as the latter had been suppressing him this whole time without any sign of exhaustion. As expected, Kai had increased the amount of magic power inside his body, Yuba thought, and he clearly understood what a protector could do. Even their king could create a tsunami easily, so Kai must be able to do something big sooner or later. He understood that 3 months were not enough to evolve Kai to a full-fledged protector, so they still had time before he grew up. The problem would be how to inform their king. No plan came into his mind in this situation because Kai's ears would catch anything. To think you have met them. Those pests. They hid themselves for the past few thousand years just to ruin our plan once again. He clenched his teeth, cursing the people in Amulda Kalan. Kai remained silent, not showing any information to both Yuba and the girls. He didn't want them to know something they were not supposed to know. Kai took a deep breath and waved his swords a few times, gradually chipping Yuba's blade with the supersonic sword. Yuba couldn't use any big moves anymore, because he had used all the blood he could spare. Even if he used everything, he would die before even doing anything. It wasn't a matter of will or anything. It was bodily function. Yuba gritted his teeth and continued fending off Kai's attacks in order to slip past him, but Kai didn't let him. Of course, he couldn't let him. As soon as the people of the sea knew about this, a large-scale war would happen. He did not have enough strength to fight them yet, so the best way was to prolong this as long as he could to make the preparation. Suddenly, Sophia and Rosalind appeared next to Yuba. Rosalind was ready to swing while Sophia was about to summon another dragon to bite him. Yuba was flustered for a split second, thinking whether he should raise his sword or not. Unfortunately for him, that split second was enough for Kai to blow his sword away. Clank! Although the sword was still in his hand, albeit barely, Kai had broken his defense. With his sword above his head, Yuba had no other way to stop this attack. Before Rosalind and Sophia attacked him, Kai already waved his second sword to his neck. Sunokinetic blade. The sound wave created a shockwave and sent Yuba's head flying. A second later, trees behind Yuba got cut down. Rosalind and Sophia glanced at the result and saw at least 50 trees going down in a straight line due to Kai's sonokinetic blade. They both were speechless and took one step back, so they didn't get sprayed by Yuba's blood. Kai took a deep breath and smiled. It seems we're done here. Chapter 477, Warning. It seems we're done here. Sophia and Rosalind nodded as they looked at Kai with a smile. We have gotten the footage of the battle anyway, so we can show the Union about it. Of course, I'm going to crop some parts to lessen Sophia's achievement as well as your performance. You don't mind, right? Rosalind asked. Yeah. Kai agreed without hesitation. That's the plan, to be honest. I don't like to show so many things to the Union, and it will just make it harder for Sophia to leave. Don't worry, I will tone it down. Rosalind gave a thumbs up to him, assuring him that everything would be fine. Sophia, on the other hand, looked at Kai with a serious expression. She was a bit hesitant, but still asked, By the way, what was that roar earlier? Unfortunately, I can't say anything right now. Kai shook his head helplessly. It will be revealed within 3 years, so I hope you can be patient. Sophia squinted her eyes and sighed. I understand. I will respect your decision. That's why. I hope you can cut that part too, Rosalind. If words go out, I'm afraid the humans will be wiped out from Earth, and I'm saying it's not in my hands. Rosalind nodded in agreement. If they heard Kai could stop the magical beasts, it would surely stun the whole world, and many people from all backgrounds will find this video and turn against Kai Carter. There might even be a connection between him and the beasts, making others suspicious. In other words, Kai's whole career would be destroyed. Even if Kai didn't take revenge, Rhea Ross would disappear together with Kai. There were some others like Sophia, Tasha, and the others, and if all of them were gone, the US base would be in chaos. After witnessing the power of the invaders of the sea, she doubted even if all the S-rank magicians in the world joined hands, they would be enough to handle the enemies. After all, they just showed there were still many invaders of the sea like Yuba and Hadka. The reason she and Sophia could beat one was due to Kai's connection to this mysterious organization that blessed them with their current power. In other words, the moment humanity lost its connection with them, it was the day they set their course to extinction. Understanding the seriousness of this matter, Rosalind added, How about this? We still have 3.5 weeks. During that time, I can start editing the video and you can watch the progress. You can tell me what the parts needed to be cut and so on. Although I will send the cut version for fine-tuning, I will delete the full version before I send anything. I know that you have been working hard where no one sees you, so I will help you too regarding this matter. She smiled. He thought for a moment and smiled. Thank you for doing this. Rosalind waved her hand as if it wasn't important. No need to thank me. I'm doing everything to support humanity. After all, the Union is still lower compared to humanity as a whole. You don't need to worry about this. I understand. We shall do it your way. Since you have finished discussing that matter, I wonder what we should do next. After all, we are now ahead of our schedule. Sophia stopped them and asked another important question. Kai looked down, falling into deep thought. At the same time, he also observed the magical beast's reactions before releasing another roar. The beasts started to return to a deeper part of Moscow, leaving them alone. I just sent those beasts home, and this will probably be the last time I do it during the mission. Since we're ahead of schedule, I think it's fine to rest for a while. We can edit the video first before making our way to Latvia. There is no change of plan for the rest of our journey. Rosalind nodded, agreeing to his suggestion. Sure. Since we don't need to do anything, I think it will be done within 1 or 2 days. Before that, I want to ask you 2 things. Sure. I will answer to the best of my ability. What do you think of our Union? I mean, the current state. I am afraid they will send you to another mission like this. So, do you hate the Union? Kai shook his head. Not really. I only know there is a spy among them, and that spy needs to be eliminated. I believe the Union is panicking right now because Sir Arnor is investigating them. I'm afraid I need to spill some blood after returning, but we will see. Well, I'm afraid you can't do anything if the culprit is a leader of a certain country. We need to weaken his political influence first before eliminating him. Politics sure suck. Rosalind let out a long sigh, feeling the headache in dealing with politics. What Rena said about them was indeed true. Haha. Kai brushed it off with a laugh and thought that must be the reason why his teacher, Rhea Ross, stepped down from politics. He also didn't like to be inside that storm, so he wanted to end the matter within 2 years before Brent stepped down from his position. From what he knew, Brent seemed to have a connection with Rhea Ross, and he didn't appear to be that corrupt. There might be a huge change in authorities if the next president emerged, so he wanted to settle everything before it happened. After all, with Brent in his second time, he surely couldn't continue to be the next president. Anyway, what is your second question? Kai asked, continuing their conversation. Rosalind nodded and asked, what are you planning to do after knowing the spy? Kai's expression turned cold as he said without hesitation, kill him. Rosalind's expression became serious as he didn't know why Kai made such a decision. Sophia didn't say anything and remained to be a bystander. Seeing her confused face, Kai explained the real situation. You should know about those creatures from the sea, right? Yes. Let's just say we are still in a small war. Nothing big is happening right now, but there will be something big soon. Unfortunately for you, I'm still not ready for that big one, and this spy may become the catalyst to it, so I want to eliminate the problem at any cost. What is the level of the catalyst? The big war will come as soon as the words come out. Rosalind sighed and nodded. I understand. It seems our condition is getting worse without us realizing. I don't like fighting, to be honest. I just want to enjoy my life, but since I need to do it, I will do it as soon as possible and be thorough. I can understand. If you need anything, please ask me. I don't know how much I can help you, but I will do my best. After all, I have my position right now, and my influence will be bigger as soon as this video is confirmed. I am not your double agent, but you can consider me as your friend who you can ask for a favor. She made a sweet and lovely smile. Thank you. Kai nodded and turned to Sophia. Do you want to add anything? Nope. I just want to leave the EU base as soon as possible, so I'm afraid I can't interfere with this matter. After all, they may use that excuse to chain me in this base. That's why I would like to apologize in advance. Don't say that. Kai shook his head. You're a great help to me this whole time. Just focus on your current power first before doing anything. Sophia nodded and Kai continued. Anyway, let's change places first. We need to go somewhere safe. The two agreed while bringing Yuba and Hatker's bodies as proof. They even requested a helicopter to go to their area to bring these two corpses as their achievement. Whether they wanted to use these corpses to create their own Zodiac research or not would be their problem. Kai didn't care about their decision because they would pay dearly if they did it for something bad, and at that time, his power would have become so strong that he could easily resolve this problem alone. He just warned Sophia to keep checking about the body's condition and personally confirmed it. After knowing the problems that might happen in the future, Rosalind agreed to do it and asked for Kai's personal contact since she might need to consult with him from time to time regarding this area. Kai didn't mind and gave her his contact. She had been a great help, so it was good to have her contact too since there might be a need to go to the EU base again in the future. They then spent a few days in that area before making their way toward Latvia. They thought nothing would mess up this peaceful mission anymore, and it would continue this way for the last 3 weeks. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't be more wrong. With Sophia and Rosalind's sudden rise of power, they and Kai, who brought that change, became the center of attention of the EU base. The Union wasn't the only one watching them from afar, but many organizations, whether good or bad, and they took advantage of Jules and Rena's absence, along with the busy Arnaud, to launch their plan. One thing was sure, something would happen in their visit to Latvia. Chapter 478, A Mysterious Woman, a week later. Kai, Sophia, and Rosalind had been killing monsters for a long time. Unlike Moscow, they didn't have many intelligent magical beasts, making the sweeping easy. They were resting right now, having their lunch and relaxing. After another 1 hour, Kai said, "It's time for us to go again. There won't be any change in our strategy. Since we're near Estonia, we will assist them just simply by killing the monsters around that area. We have agreed to give 1 week for the middle area, Estonia's border and Lithuania's border. Yes, we're ready, of course." Rosalind raised from the ground while tapping her sword a few times. Sophia also nodded her head while brushing all the dirt on her pants. When they were about to leave, Kai suddenly heard someone's voice. "Help me, anyone!" It was a female voice, crying for help. Since they were near the border of Estonia, they thought this person was a soldier from there and somehow stranded near their position to escape the chase of magical beasts. It was a normal occurrence, so we thought nothing more about it and said, "There is a woman in that direction. We will go there and help her." "Sure." The two girls didn't find anything weird for Kai to help a person. Although it was weird for someone to arrive in this place, they understood the circumstances and believed Kai's decision. They approached the girl without hesitation and found she was chased by 3 magical beasts. Kai and the others appeared and killed the magical beasts without hesitation as they looked at the woman. She seemed to be close to her 30s. She wore a military uniform while her long purple hair got swayed by the wind. "You 3. You are." The woman seemed to recognize them as she drew a gasp. "You must be Kai Carter, Sophia Campbell, and Rosalind Breguet. It is my honor to see you 3. Drop the pleasantries. What is happening here? Why are you here alone?" Kai decided to cut to the chase, not wanting to waste his time with her. If he wanted to waste it, it was better to waste it for himself. Sophia instantly translated what he said to the woman. Yes. The woman panicked for a second and pointed to the northwest. "My team is a scout team, but when we're scouting the area, we're ambushed by magical beasts. The team asked me to leave to inform the army, but I almost died as well if you 3 didn't help me. Please help them." Kai felt something was wrong with this woman, but he didn't understand what it was. This is suspicious. Her words are true, but there is this weird feeling I get from listening to her voice. Kai furrowed his eyebrows and thought for a moment. Sophia and Rosalind looked at him, confirming whether they would go or not. "Let's go to your friends. It's better to save them." Kai nodded while figuring out the problem. After Sophia translated what Kai said, the female leaped to the air to show her happiness before realizing she was in front of Kai. "I'm sorry. I have lost myself earlier." Kai still couldn't find what was going on, but he decided to see what this woman planned to do. "Lead the way." The woman nodded and quickly moved in the direction she pointed earlier. Surprisingly, the woman didn't even tell her name, even though he just saved her. He was suspicious of the woman's identity and wondered whether they should continue or not. When the woman looked away, he typed something in his device before handing it to Sophia and Rosalind. Both of them couldn't understand what Kai meant, but they got the gist of their situation. They didn't show any kinds of clues to the woman as they continued at their pace while joking around with each other. Kai maintained his silence while observing their surroundings. The journey was uneventful and took 1 hour before Kai's suspicion came true. There must be something going on. In the corner of his hearing range, he could feel 100 magical beasts standing on top of a cliff. Kai suddenly stopped, stunning everyone. "Eh?" Sophia and Rosalind halted their steps and turned to Kai with a confused face. He ignored them for a moment and placed his sword next to the woman's neck. "You don't need to continue your roleplay. I have seen what you want to do. What is your purpose?" The woman widened her eyes in surprise, never expecting Kai to know about it this soon. She thought Kai must be bluffing, but the latter already said, "I know there is an ambush ahead. They all have been standing on top of a cliff. You don't need to pretend anymore, or I will kill you right here, right now." The woman fell silent for a few seconds as Sophia and Rosalind suddenly raised their guards, looking at this woman. The latter smiled as she turned around. "As expected from the genius Kai Carter, it's hard to fool someone like you. Since I don't see any point in wasting my time playing the fool, I should stop. I only have one demand. I want your secret for making those 2 girls an S-rank magician." "Just for that?" Kai narrowed his eyes as he pressured her neck even more until it started to bleed. "That's the only demand. But I think you want to see this first." The woman showed a screen before her, so Kai and the others could see. There were 2 screens, and both of them had their purpose as the 2 girls shouted at the same time. "Julia! Kids!" Yes, the left screen showed Julia, Sophia's main attendant that he met during her visit to the US base. She was tied in a chair with her mouth gagged. There seemed to be no violence or whatsoever at the moment, but Julia was unconscious. On the right screen, she showed the orphanage, especially the kids. They all were crying, and Kai could even hear their despair. Next to them were several armed men and women that wouldn't hesitate to kill them upon order. "You!" Rosalind unsheathed her blade before Kai grabbed her wrist, stopping her. He took another look at the kids before staring at the woman. "What do you want me to do?" Chapter 479, Trust. "What do you want me to do now?" Kai narrowed his eyes, glaring at the woman. He wanted to kill her right now, but he decided not to. Suddenly, he heard something from the screen, as if someone signaled him something. "This is Morse code?" Kai was stunned before realizing who could do such a thing. There was only one person who understood him among them, and it was none other than Felice. In other words, Felice tried to make a small sound in a Morse code to tell him something. "We're good here. There are 4 enemies around us. Because of the kids, we're unable to move, but I can do something if the kids are not here." Kai interpreted what she wanted to say, but because the screen showed Julia was caught as well, he couldn't make his move. He needed to save both of them, even though he didn't care much about Julia's life. Only due to her relationship with Sophia, he thought he needed to do it. What should I do here? Kai fell into deep thought before listening to the woman. "I want you to die after giving the method to get stronger. Only we are allowed to have this kind of information," the woman demanded. "That's including your ambush in the place we're going now." Kai narrowed his eyes. "Yes. I want to talk to them first to check their condition. All I can see is a video of them, so I don't know whether you're telling the truth or not. If you don't agree with this demand, then I don't need to care about them. After all, they're only related to the 2 girls behind me." Kai released his killing intent, oppressing the woman. The woman's body shuddered before she considered his suggestion. It was true that Kai didn't have any weaknesses in this base, so what they could do was limited. If not because of his relationship with the 2 girls, they wouldn't try to do something like this. After contemplating for a while, the woman nodded her head, agreeing to his request. "All right. We have killed the monsters around here, so no magical beasts will pick up the signal and attack us. However, you only have 1 minute, 10 minutes. "You're trying to challenge my limit here," the woman shouted, glaring at him. Kai didn't have any change of expression. He was still cool and indifferent. He simply stated, "Woman, I don't think you understand me. If they die, I don't really care. Even the government will only say it's a terrorist attack. If you want me to cooperate with you, you better do the same thing." The woman gritted her teeth and replied, 3, 8 minutes, 5. "I won't go any higher than that." The woman was fuming in anger, but the time should be enough, so he accepted. "Fine, 5 minutes. 5 minutes for the total, and only you can talk to these people." Kai nodded and said while pointing at Julia, "I want to talk to that girl first." The woman nodded and asked for a video call. He found that the video was taken not long ago since there wasn't that much change in her gesture. "Julia," Kai called her name. Julia widened her eyes and saw Kai's face appearing on the screen. When she saw Sophia, she couldn't help but look down. "I'm sorry. Even though I have gotten stronger, they still caught me. No need to rescue me. Even if I die, these people won't be alive because the Campbell family won't let them off." Kai narrowed his eyes, feeling there was something she wanted to convey in those words. He thought for a moment before listening to her whisper when she looked down as if apologizing to Sophia and Kai. "There's a tracker in my body. If the Campbell family is notified or finds me missing, they will be able to locate me." It seemed Julia also understood the situation and wanted to take advantage of Kai's extraordinary hearing. I guess someone who becomes the personal maid of Sophia Campbell can't be ordinaries. Kai couldn't help but smile. This smile could be misinterpreted by the woman because Kai added, "Don't worry, Sophia won't like to see you die, so I will resolve this matter and save you." Julia lowered her head as if thanking him, but Kai already said, "Change it. I only used 1 minute." The woman reluctantly stopped the call and changed it to the orphanage. When they saw Kai's face on the screen, they all cried, calling his name. "Big brother. Big brother Kai." Kai made the best smile he could and assured them, "Ahaha, kids, I can hear you just fine. Don't worry. I will be helping you right now. Just wait for me." There was a secret message in his words, and only Felice could understand it, just like other kids who were begging for his help. Felice muttered in a very low voice and took advantage of Kai's extraordinary hearing. "Madam was a former agent, and I could buy time against 2 people. The 2 oldest can somehow help me, so as long as the kids are safe, we can move immediately." Listening to those words was enough for him. He quickly made a pained expression when he saw the kids crying. "To think you would do such a cruel thing like this. Not only a full-fledged adult like Julia from Campbell family, but you even take the children as your hostages." Kai gritted his teeth and glared at the woman. "Do you think the Campbell family will let you off if they know Julia is kidnapped?" To think our hero can't even understand how the real world works. As expected from a hero, you can only see those who walk during the day, while ignorant to those who work during the night." The woman snorted. His previous sentences were actually another message to Felicie. After hearing it, Felicie understood that she needed to inform the Campbell family about Julia. They might even send some people to help them guard the orphanage for the time being. Kai was directing her to this kind of situation. Hence, Felicie tried to understand what Kai wanted her to do and work together with him to save everyone. Do you think you can release the kids first? Kai narrowed his eyes. You can still take the bigger ones. I don't want the kids to have trauma because of this. Oh, still acting like a hero? And do you think I will let you do everything you want just because you want to cooperate? You have been pushing my limit. How about I change my plan? I will kill one kid if you waste my time again. Let's see, how about every 10 minutes? The woman smirked. You. Kai clenched his teeth. You can just send the kids upstairs and lock them in their room. There's no need for them to see this happening. It's not like they're going to run away. 1 minute. The woman ignored him and continued. This is your last minute to talk to those kids. You. Kai gritted his teeth, but he had conveyed everything he could. Felice should understand what he wanted, so he used the remaining time to assure everyone. Don't worry, kids. Everything is going to be all right. Just follow their words, okay? I'm sure it will be resolved within 20 minutes. Just hang on. Kai smiled. Without waiting for their reaction, the woman stopped the call and glared at Kai. Your time is up. Now you better follow me, or I will kill one kid every minute. You can try to kill me, but there's already an order to kill all the hostages as soon as I die. The woman smirked. Kai clenched his teeth, as if he wanted to do something but couldn't. However, this was just him acting like the so-called hero. In his heart, he still worried about them, but not so much because he knew how capable Felice was. She had been doing crazy things, and the first person he recognized not as a woman, but as someone who was like him. You will pay dearly if you underestimate the person I have chosen. I'm sure she can do it. I won't accept her as my disciple if she can't even solve something like this after all. Kai was smiling at his heart, but he couldn't show any of it. While walking, Kai turned his head and smiled at Rosalind and Sophia. Sophia, I know Julia. I will save her. I promise. Rosalind, I'm sorry for involving the kids because of this problem. I promise I will save them, okay? Sophia shook her head and said, You are not planning to die, aren't you? Sophia wanted to cry. Kai didn't have any weakness, and they had been relying on his name to protect themselves. The US base had protected them by using their elites to guard those important to him and their relatives. But the EU base didn't do it, resulting in Julia getting captured. She thought Kai had some sort of plan, but when she saw her smile, she didn't know whether he had one or not. That was why she felt regret for not preparing enough. Rosalind, on the other hand, apologized to him. No, it's not your fault. You won't even need to care for them if not because of me. If she could trade her life for his, she would do it without hesitation. Unfortunately, the three of them might need to die here if they wanted to be safe. She might not be able to do it, but Sophia might risk it because they might kill Julia anyway. The only way to save them is to die. The woman snorted and started walking. Follow me. Kai was smiling like a devil inside his heart and followed the woman without hesitation. This would be a battle where he couldn't control the battle directly and needed to trust those who could be trusted. Whether he would come to the top or not, it would be settled within 20 minutes. Chapter 480, Felice's Perspective. A few minutes ago, in the orphanage, Felice and the others were relaxing in the living room, watching the kids playing around. However, everything happened so fast when a group of 4 appeared. They wore a full of black suit that covered every part of their body other than their eyes. They all had a sword in their hands and shouted, All you kids, if you don't want to die, follow our words. The only guy in the group shouted as he appeared in the middle of the playground and grabbed one kid before putting his sword on her neck. What? Felice and the others quickly rose from their seats. When they were about to fight back, the enemies had taken many hostages with their swords on the kids' necks. Felice and the others couldn't help but halt their movement and shouted, Kids, gather around us. This shout quickly gathered the kids. Although half of them were crying, they at least managed to gather them around. The remaining ones were released while they forced all of them to sit in one place. As the guy said, You all have one choice. It's to sit here. If you fight back, we will kill all of you immediately. The children were terrified and cried out loud, and the enemies seemed to be annoyed. Before anything happened to them, Sonia quickly came forward and smiled at the kids. The enemy quickly brought her down, but the kids seemed to be influenced by her smile. Yes, she was actually born with magic similar to that of hypnosis. Her magic power was low, and the power of hypnosis wasn't that great, but it was completely working for children like them. The kids stopped crying even though they were still terrified. Seeing that Sonia used her magic, the group decided to tie her up and put a gag on her mouth. They also noticed that the children stopped, so they let her go and planned to use her again if necessary. At this time, many thoughts appeared in Felici's head. KH. What is happening? Why are we being attacked? Are they Big Brother Kai's enemies? Felice looked down while falling into deep thought. All of you are to remain here until we get what we want. If you keep annoying us, we will kill you one by one, the guy said. The madam rose from the ground and shouted, "You should know that this orphanage is protected by two S-rank magicians. You surely don't want to antagonize them." The guy released his killing intent, showing that he would kill anyone if she kept pushing him. "Woman, I don't care about your things. In the end, even your S-rank magicians can't do anything in this situation." Listening to their conversation, Felice agreed because Rosalind and Arnold were going their way to complete a certain mission. She also couldn't go to Rena's place for a while since Rena needed to maintain the border. That was why they didn't have any sort of protection at the moment. What should we do? Madam was a former agent, and my magic should be able to stop these people. But they're aiming at the kids, so I need to separate them from the kids. Felice closed her eyes and started contemplating their plan. She took a deep breath to calm her head and chanted one sentence that could cool her mind. "I am going to be the great disciple of Kai Carter. If I can't solve something like this, I won't be worthy of him." When she opened her eyes, she found the one thing that could change the entire outcome for her. The mysterious group actually brought a camera and pointed it at them. A camera? Why? There must be something big behind that camera. Don't tell me they're trying to blackmail Big Sister Rosalind. But she should be with Big Brother Kai. Wait, since they are together. Felice just thought it a good thing. The group turned on the camera while saying, "Smile. I'm sure you want to let your big sister know you." At that moment, Felice secretly placed her hand on the floor and gently tapped it. "Big Brother Kai has an extraordinary hearing, but I don't know how strong it is. If he can hear the secret code I send, I'm sure he will try to. Reach out to me, and I will also be able to judge how strong his hearing is." As expected from a genius, she had learnt the Morse code at her age and seemed to have no problem conducting other research. Her achievement might be at the same level as Rhea Ross in the future, if not surpassed her. Her prayer was answered as Kai called them a moment later. "Kai Carter wants to speak to all of you. You have 4 minutes. If you say something useless, we will kill you." The guy threatened them again. The kids were scared and started screaming at him. But Felice's head became surprisingly cool in this situation. She looked down to cover her mouth to avoid anyone from thinking she sent a secret message. At the same time, her body kept shaking from time to time to make them believe she was crying. "Ahaha, kids, I can hear you just fine. Don't worry. I will be helping you right now. Just wait for me." When she heard Kai's voice and his reply, she understood there would be 1,000 different replies he could use to calm the kid. "However," he said, "I can hear you just fine," in his first sentence. And that one sentence was the reply she needed. A smile appeared on her face as she quickly muttered in a very low voice. With the help of the kids' crying voices, she could send a fast message to him by using her mouth. "Madam was a former agent, and I could buy time against 2 people. The oldest can somehow help me, so as long as the kids are safe, we can move immediately." Replying to Felice's information, Kai signaled her that there was another hostage from the Campbell family, and he even gave a clue that the Campbell family would do everything they needed to save her. Suddenly, she came to a realization as there was another reason why Kai mentioned the Campbell family. Wait, did he mention the Campbell family especially to me? He wants me to take advantage of the Campbell family? Wait a minute. Without theirs, Felice drew a gasp as she understood what Kai wanted. He wants me to call Arnaud since he has direct access to the Campbell family. Even without him, the Campbell family will surely help us along with the other hostages. As expected of Big Brother, I'm truly not your match. Before she could reply, Kai gave another hint to her. Releasing the kids while taking us hostages? No, that's impossible in the current situation. But when she heard Kai saying they needed to send the kids upstairs and lock them in their room, it was a direct order from him. That's right. My magic can do something about these 4 people for an instant before sending the kids to their room. If Big Sister Sonia protects them, Madam and I should be able to buy enough time until the reinforcement arrives. And she heard Kai mentioning time, so she believed it was the time limit, and the Campbell family would surely be able to move faster than that. The best would be 5 minutes, and the slowest would be 10 minutes. After getting all the instructions she needed, she began to formulate their plan. For now, the swords are dangerous. Since I don't use it, I should give Madam 2 swords while the rest will be handled by Big Sister Sonia to protect the kids. In other words, I should fight 2 people for a few minutes. I don't know if I can do it, but I won't be able to become Big Brother Kai's disciple if I'm scared of this. She took a deep breath and recalculated her plan. It's fine. I can do this. First, I need to blow them away using my magic and grab a device to call Sir Arnaud. At the same time, I will grab their swords and toss them to Madam. Madam will use them to free Big Sister Sonia so she can lead the kids upstairs. I will try to help the others, but I am afraid I can't do much since the enemies are elites. Buying time will be hard, but doable. After looking at her plan again, Felice nodded her head, ready to execute it. She suddenly rose from the floor as a blue-colored magic circle appeared behind her. Telekinetic. Yes, her magic was none other than telekinetic, and her ability was quite huge. She pushed the enemies away while holding their swords with her power, so they stayed afloat. Run to the 2nd floor, she shouted as she tossed the swords to the Madam.